Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk.
Usually it's Hatfield. That's why I try to tell everybody, get on Hatfield. He is the legal scribe, the talking head that knows all this, puts the whammies on. We do things different on this podcast. That's why we're rated number 3 in the state.
You got Play-Doh? Get out of here! We got people all over the globe watching with us. Sitting in a phone booth with you would be very...
we got to have your own phone booth. I'm not sitting in a phone booth with you.
It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cove Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Yes, we're live with all you this morning. Good morning. I'm sleep deprived. Ed is somewhat cranky. Not as cranky as probably I am, and we are with you.
Got up a little earlier than normal, but good morning. Ready to roll. We're here. Let's do it.
Let's do it. 757 Saturday Sports Talk, brought to you by a lot of great people on Cove Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we are talking to you all over the globe, all over the world. YouTube, Cove Sports TV, as well as Apple, Spotify, VirginiaPreps.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X at Hatfield Sports, IG2. We're up there as well. Give us a follow, a like, a share, all those good things, and your life will be better. We guarantee it. We guarantee it. Edward, how was your week? Before we get to the high school football,
not good.
Well, I got to know why your week was not good. Why was your week
disastrous Game 5? I think it was.
Oh, is that why it was not good?
Disaster, 5th inning, Little League baseball, the Bad News Bears version.
Oh, it was bad. And by the way, you know what would have been worse if that was on Halloween night? Because I could just see a kid coming to the door at 7:53 before everybody's supposed to stop at 8 p.m. banging on Ed's door for some candy, and Ed not taking the candy, but throwing whatever he's got, maybe like the trail mix at the kids. I could see you just doing that just to get rid of them and let out your frustration about your choking, and I do mean gagging dogs that are the Bronx Bombers. You know what? It would have been better had the Cleveland Guardians gotten to the Fall Classic, or hold on now. You know where I'm going?
No, the world wanted the Yankees and Dodgers, and anybody else would have been a snooze or snooze fest. The outcome was not unpredictable. Most people across the country picked Dodgers. The experts picked Dodgers, not in the manner that it happened. Yankees gave a bad account of themselves. It was neat to see them win Game 4. After being down 3-0, actually dominated Game 4, and then started out well with Game 5, and then 5th inning disaster. And
the Arizona Diamondbacks, who scored the most runs in baseball, that's who you needed in the Fall Classic.
I'm telling you,
the
World Series did doesn't matter.
2023, that's who you needed to have in the Fall Classic, because they surely wouldn't have gagged.
You cannot deal in the present, and you'll never see your future. It's done with. The D-backs at one time won the World Series. Yankees at one time won 27 World Series. End of statement. Hats off. I should put my hat on. Hats off to the Dodgers.
No, we don't take our hats off for them. Boo. We don't like the Dodgers. We don't like the Yankees or the Dodgers. Get rid of both.
And for the Yankee diehards that are on the chat lines that I'm on with these dudes, they're not getting rid of Boone. He's coming back. They're not trading Judge. Forget that. Now, I will say this. Based on Soto's ridiculous interview right after the game about free agency, I would now say, at first I was like 94% he's going to re-sign. I would go down to about 85. And I'll tell you,
how do you come up with these percentages? Are you like the ESPN analytics when I'm watching a game?
Yes,
I'm invested in, where I pull up the app and it says that, Colorado State has a 92.8% chance to beat Wyoming. How do you come up with this 94%?
I don't deal with
odds?
analytics, but I do use them at times to prove a point that I would say right now, Dodgers in the lead to sign Soto, not the Mets, the Dodgers. The Mets will go crazier than the Dodgers and Yankees to sign him, which means probably put out more money. But when you look at Soto, what he brings to the table, he wants to win. Like, who doesn't? The Dodgers right now have a better shot. I would say Dodgers in a great chance to be back in the World Series next year. Yankees, I wouldn't put money on it. Mets, absolutely not. I would think Soto right now is going to look hard at the Dodgers. And like I got an argument with one of these Yankee fans, and I end up calling him a name. It's not Soto, it's Boros. And Boros has stated when he signed with the Yankees, when Soto got traded to the Yankees.
Scott Boras.
Boras. I don't give a darn what his name is. He
Borat.
stated.
You can be the guy Borat from the movie for you.
Yeah, I would have got Borat. He stated that it's a 1-year thing for sure. He's definitely going into the market. That was stated because I remember saying, why did they trade for him and not give him a contract? And the idea was he wasn't going to re-sign. He was going to go 1 year no matter what happened, and he's going into free agency. So that should not surprise people. And the idea, well, he looks like he enjoys the Yankees. He even said middle of the year, it's a great place to play. That's fine, but that doesn't mean nothing when it comes to free agency. He's going to get the biggest contract in the history of baseball. So he's going to go for it, period. I'm not sure the Yankees are going to just throw all bundles of money at him. The Mets will, Dodgers might, Yankees won't. The Yankees try to sign him. Yankees need a clean house with some other situations. Rizzo's not an automatic get rid of. I think they need to reduce his salary. It's the options either his or the club's. He's not a true free agent. They did re-sign Weaver, which was good. Cole is on a club option, which I do think they'll pick that up, which means he gets another year on his contract. So that they need to fix those kind of situations. But, the Yankees were a flawed team to begin with. They showed that all year. And they need to hire some coach somewhere, knows how to teach fundamentals, base running, defense. That they definitely need. But Boone is not going anywhere.
Well, you got it out of your system now, and you can get ready for the Diamondbacks to get to the World Series in 2025. You can watch somebody else in American League.
In baseball, 30, 32.
Well, let me make sure I have this right. In the last 23 years, your Yankees have as many championships as my D-backs, right? Is that correct? Is that accurate?
Yeah. Okay, let me educate you on this. In the history of professional sports, nobody touches the Yankees in terms of championships. So you can go 23 years, 23 minutes, 25 months. That means nothing. Either you look at what happened just now, Dodgers won, or you look at it.
They did fantasy football go advice. You're absolutely right. And I see you're rooting for the Hoosiers. How about Kurt Signetti and IU, by the way? They are killing it. But
today is their first loss.
Wow. You just come right at our fans. Right out of the gate. You come blazing, shooting at them.
It's early morning, baby. You got to get up and grasp the day, or they seize the day before it seizes you.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's get this out of the way. Today they play at Michigan State. They're an 8-point favorite. I think you're dead wrong. What are you going to do when you're dead wrong? Are you just going to Are you going to
When you're dead wrong, you can never come back from that mistake.
Yeah.
I kind of think for some reason, I don't know why, Michigan State.
And look, she's a realist. She says maybe Ohio State. And listen, she's right on the button here. Right on the button. Should pop her or anybody else. And by the way, we do have that up there. You can join the show as a guest. If you go to our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel, we have a link for you can come on the show with us. In fact, we're going to probably effort, if not today, in the near future, our man Derek Fulgham is going to work on getting Keith for me, who was not at the epic Smithfield comeback last night. Was not at it. So we're going to effort, but you can come around on the show with us as an instant guest. We have some guests planned. We probably won't have one live today that we had last week with Corey Hairston and Brian Driscoll, who we got rave reviews and tons of views. I think it's like our most viewed live guest on any of the podcasts that we've had was Brian Driscoll last week about your Notre Dame Fighting Irish who beat Navy. But Ed, just, enjoy the moment of being runner-up. second place, the first loser, which is what you are. And just remember that for the picks contest.
And all the other losers are the other 28 teams that didn't make it. And if they were,
you didn't say it to me last year when the D-backs fell short against Texas in a much more entertaining 5-game series that we didn't blow.
You know what? You couldn't pay me to tell you who. Didn't Texas win the World Series last year?
They did, but don't say that.
Who did they play?
Coach, the former tie. They played Arizona. You know it.
No, I swear on Bible.
You're just trying to aggravate me.
I can't even remember who was.
When I get my hat next year for Arizona, and they can play anybody in the American League. They could play Baltimore with the orange. They could play Cleveland. They could play Kansas City with
I think it's Baltimore next year. I think it's Baltimore. I think they'll be a year older.
We'll see.
A year older.
We'll see. Hey, before we do close the book, finally, thankfully, on the baseball season that to me truly ended 2 weeks ago. Because once the Dodgers and Yankees made it, I was disinterested and it was a waste of my time. But we do want to salute 2757 guys that did get World Series rings, and we might get one of them on the show. We've interviewed them both before in the past, talking about Chris Taylor of Cox High School in Virginia Beach and Daniel Hudson, also out of Virginia Beach's Princess Anne High School, Old Dominion fame, Taylor out of UVA fame. And by the way, I got a chance to talk to Hudson right after he got the last out of the World Series in 2019. And I thought, Ed, I thought our pick last week on our little show contest we did that we played the game, buy or sell, was going to come to fruition that he get the last out of the World Series. But they opted to Dave Roberts to go with Walker Buehler, the starter, to get those last outs as opposed to Hudson. They had them both in the pen warming up. And I knew when y'all came up in the bottom of the inning, I knew y'all were cooked. Y'all were toast. Y'all were fried, filleted, the whole schmear, done. But when you're wrong about Indiana, Michigan State next week, how about either our friend there, Fantasy Football Girl Advice, or someone else can get you with some Hoosier gear to have to wear the next week on the show, since you are proclaiming them to lose. How about that? You cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it fits, no problem. I'm not paying for no Hoosier gear, but that would be no issue on my part.
Because you're a cheap dog. We know that. You're cheap SOB.
In my current financial status, I can't afford to pay attention.
Your financial status. Yeah. Last I heard, you're getting so much money coming in the mail every week. It's just
that's what I thought in retirement it would be okay.
It's flowing.
I was on the phone Monday and Tuesday with Social Security people, insurance people, for about 5 straight hours each day. And
our audience doesn't care; they want to hear about the high school football. But go ahead, tell us anyway.
I ended up fussing one lady out, and I had to apologize, which I'm not. That's not my etiquette to fuss, because the people you talk to on the phone are not the people you need to fuss out.
Don't be like Mike Hatfield. Be nice.
I did on Mike Hatfield this week. I didn't use quite the colorful language, but all I know is, in one simple sentence, this country would rather have you dead than retire. So
are you going to unretire now? Are you coming out of retirement?
No, once I made that decision is final. But I'm just letting people know who think retirement is, they're racing to retirement. Can't wait.
Racing.
I'll tell you right now, it's not what everybody thinks it is in terms of finances. It's insurance, all this kind of stuff. It is. Well, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
I hear you when you say that. Would you like to delve first in on
scores? Come on, baby. Let's go with scores. Who did who beat who?
You want to go with Thursday, right? Before Friday, because it does
Thursday comes before Friday, so let's do that.
I was just making sure it's where you wanted to go first. Sometimes you have things backwards in your head and all up there.
No,
it's all jumbled up.
Thursday comes before Friday. What happened Thursday night on the gridiron, on the fields of?
Okay, let's get to it then. What was that? You muted. You faded out there.
What happened on the fields of blood, sweat, and tears Thursday night?
Blood, sweat, and tears, he says, ladies and germs. All right.
Everybody was sweating. Some gave up some blood, and a few had tears. So let's see what happened.
Well, that can be a little rough. All right. Well, we'll give it to you across the board if you like. In the 757, though, we had a couple of games. One at Darling, one at Todd, over at Todd Stadium. The Heritage Hurricanes in Newport News closed up 3-7 on the year. Kickathon finishes winless, a 21-10 victory for the Canes. They get a pick to end the game late. Actually 3 rushing touchdowns in that one. 3-7 for Scott Woodley from the crew at Heritage. 0-10 for Kickitan under first-year head man Zachary James. And I'm blaming you on that because he came on with us in the summer. I wasn't a jinx. You certainly were. Over at Darling on Halloween, trick or treat. Well, plenty of treats for the Hampton Crabbers. Victorious over the Bethel Bruins, 35-21. Good ball game there. 4 touchdowns accounted for by the QB, the sophomore triggerman Marcus Chapman, as Woodrow Wilson's Crabbers close out their regular season with a 7-3 mark with 3 blemishes to King George, Phoebus, and Warwick, who beat them pretty handily last week. But good win for the Crabbers. Had a little bit of trouble on defense before the break, but they were able to get it done, and now they are in prime position to get that number 2 seed, it does look like, in Region 4A. Bethel seed could slip from the 6 line to potentially the 7 line. We'll see how this last week shakes out in Region 5B. They won't get up any higher than 6, though, because ahead of them are Granby and Nansemond River, both of whom were victorious on Friday night. And by the way, Hall of Fame recognition it was. I don't know if you saw my interview that we did on the Hash with Hatfield that took place on our program on Wednesday, I think it was. There's a little On the Hash with Hatfield logo up there as the colors change. Ooh, we went from orange to blue. Mike Smith got the Hall of Fame recognition at halftime. If you missed that conversation, you can go back and watch it, as they've already put him in the Hampton Hall of Fame. They recognize it, at least. He'll go in formally when they do their first induction class coming up in the spring. Actually, he said sort of late spring, early summer, to Justin Vias, the AD at Hampton, former baseball coach and baseball standout, took over as baseball coach for our pal, the late, great Denny Mitchell, who we lost a few years back. And rest in peace to Denny. We think of him very often. But yeah, nice to see Mike Smith have some former Crabbers and some of his coaches come out for that halftime ceremony that they had on Thursday night. And the Crabbers got a win for him and their loyal fan base.
Picked it.
You did. I had Bethel 23-21. You had Crabbers 23-21. It was real creative of you to just copy the score and just change the team, though. Mm-hmm. I must say.
Works most of the time.
No, it doesn't, because if it worked most of the time, you wouldn't be trailing me by 6 games.
Well, that's because I take some outrageous picks just to try to catch up. So
you are outrageous. You are outrageous in every way, shape of.
Yeah, I don't pick with my brain on those. I'm just picking willy. They call it willy-nilly.
We got lots of people that tune in with us on the social pages, and we always appreciate the interaction. I see one of your former b-ball players, Mr. Mitchell, out there watching from Nans River. Shout out to him. I see Brandon Williams, the Green Run Stallions, watching us. Shout out to him. They had a bye week. He's in good graces, 9-0. They're rolling. Hey,
the youngster from Nans River, Makai Mitchell.
Did you ever give him his stats, by the way? He was telling me, he asked me, you probably did you? Yes, he's going to tell me if you're lying or not. Don't lie on this show. You better tell the truth.
If he's listening, Makai, get on the chat line and tell this knucklehead I already gave you the stats.
Well, he's on the IG. Unfortunately, we can't get our comments from IG on our. We're working on that, but that's still in the works with our technology. We haven't gotten that all.
Well, we got to get technology moving because people.
We're trying, but we do have someone said to me last night. I was at an establishment with my pops in Janif, Italian joint. I can't say what the name of it is because they don't sponsor the show. Why'd you do that? Why did you do that? They don't sponsor the show, and you just pop it out there. Boop.
Olive Garden is not an Italian
George
joint.
W. Bush. George W. Bush said
Olive Garden is not an Italian joint.
That time an inside word popped out.
Do that again. Lean backwards again because you went right out of the picture. That was great. No, that time you're still here.
We keep going further, then I fall out of the chair. No, that time an inside word popped out. You're not supposed to do that. But anywho, I lost my train of thought. But someone said to me, and I think it was in there. In fact, they said, "Hey, we could come on your show on like a call in." And I said, "Well, yeah, if you use that link, we just showed you on the screen. Now you probably can't click it if you're watching it. I'll do it again. Go to my YouTube or the Cova Sports TV YouTube. Just click that link. You can come on right there as a guest and ask your question on the screen with your face. Or if you don't want your face on the screen, you can just do it right there. So, but you can always also comment on the show that way too. So there is a way to call in like that. It's just we don't have an actual phone number designated to call in like we do with radio. So it's there, and we're working on some other things. It's in the works. Would you like to hear from the Hampton Crabbers sophomore quarterback after their win over the Bethel Bruins?
he had a great game. I think he deserves a chance to hear his voice.
I think people would like to hear what he has to say a lot more than what you have to say, probably you and I, for that matter. So, given that, let's now turn our attention to young Marcus Chapman of the Crabbers after their win over Bethel on Halloween night. I have my costume on. Here it is on Cova Sports TV.
You still do.
All right, I'm here at the sophomore quarterback for the Hampton Crabbers, Marcus Chapman. His team wins it 35-21 over the rival Bethel tonight to move to 7-3. They'll get a couple weeks off here before the playoffs tonight. You end up throwing for a couple touchdowns, 155 yards for the air, 2 rushing scores. How did it feel to beat this Bethel team on a little bit of a win streak? You guys coming in, it's Halloween. You got plenty of treats tonight and some tricks up your sleeve as well, right?
It felt pretty good. Last year, this was my first game actually starting against them, so I played good last year, and I just wanted to play even better this year. And we came out and played pretty decent and got the W.
Spoke with Coach Wilson back in August when you guys scrimmaged at Kempsville, and the legacy at Hampton with all the great quarterbacks that have come through, and obviously tonight Mike Smith being honored as well as one of the great coaches, but Tyrod Taylor, Ronald Curry, Marcus Higgins. Did you grow up dreaming of being that guy wearing the QB, the jersey for the Crabbers? What was kind of you growing up? Did you ever envision yourself being that guy making the big plays? Or
I've been coming around here, been around the program since I was in about 6th grade, so I always had a big dream playing here and playing for Hampton Crabbers, so it feels good.
Sure. What's been the difference from freshman year? You got thrust into the action. You had some moments. This year as a sophomore, what's kind of the difference in growth in your game? What would you pinpoint are some of the things that have helped you in your development?
I would say just working hard, working on my reads and things like that, trying to get faster and quicker.
Sure.
And being more smarter, and it's starting to slow down for me a little bit, so that's pretty good.
Tell me about the receivers you got. Obviously, Davion Perry had a big night, 6 catches for 84 yards. Casey Lasser's a baller. Sidney Johnson and Amari Boyd tonight. We're number 9 at a couple TDs. You developing a pretty good chemistry with those guys. You're starting to smile a bit. Tell me about them.
They very good. They work hard in practice, and they always prepared to get the ball. And every time they get the ball, they do special things with it. So I'm just glad to have them on my team.
A couple more let you run. Obviously, coming off a tough loss last week to Warwick, what have you guys learned about fighting through some of the adversity? You played Warwick, you played Phoebus, which is a rivalry game. How have you guys responded from that as you get ready for the playoffs here?
We moved past it. It was a bad game, and now we just prepared to play whoever next and just continue to work hard. You might lose some games, but our biggest goal is to go to state. So whatever it takes to do that.
And you're getting on the radar a little bit. I know you got, was it NC State? So it's a lot of interest or offered you in the summer, was it? And you're getting some schools looking at you a little bit.
Yes, sir.
What it's going to take for you to help this team be a factor come playoff time? And who knows, come maybe Thanksgiving weekend, you guys are making a run at this thing.
Like I said, we all work hard, and we all going to put in work to be able to complete our goal that we want. And we doing this for Quan. So.
Who's that for Quan? People don't know.
One of our teammates that passed away last year. So this season dedicated to him, and at any means possible, we want to win states for him.
That's QB1 for the Hampton Crabbers, Marcus Chapman. Keep an eye on him and his team. Thank you so much. All the best. Good work. Good job.
So there you heard it. That was Marcus Chapman chatting with us. He's dedicating this season, he and his teammates, to one of his fallen mates that passed away. They're now 7-3 on the year, Ed. Solidly in the playoffs among the 6 schools in Region 4A. They were battling with Smithfield for that 2 seed. They should get it with enough bonus points getting this win over Bethel, although it is not a foregone conclusion. The Packers could pass them next week. They do have another game, and they could get a booster point or 2 based off that. Hampton is not playing next week, and Smithfield plays Tab. Should Churchland win its final game of a manner, which they should, that'll help the Packers. So there's a chance Hampton might have to go to Smithfield. We'll see how that all plays out in the next few days and the bonus points. Getting that 2 seed matters. Had they lost the game, 2 seed would be out the window. No question about it. But they did respond from the loss. And this youngster at 6'4", he also plays some basketball. He's got a bright future ahead of him. You can just see he's among that very talented sophomore crop of quarterbacks. We've talked about them all year long. When you look at the likes of Marcus Banks at Phoebus, who threw a championship-winning touchdown pass as a freshman, Lonnie Andrews III at Oscar Smith, other PD quarterbacks like Kevin Parker Jr. at Denby come to mind. You think of Baum Hogg over at Lafayette. It's a really good class of 2027 quarterbacks. And with his size and athletic ability, arm talent, he's got a chance to be, if not the best, certainly among the best and be highly recruited. NC State's already given him an early offer, it sounds like. So, hey, I think it's just going to be sky's the limit as he continues to build the next few years.
You say 6'4"?
He's listed at 6'4", $162. And he looks it because
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
taller than me. I looked up
Yeah, you
at
got
him.
to put on a little bit more meat on him, a little bit more muscle, but 6'4".
He's about eye level with our camera guy, Jimbo. He's not as big as Jimbo. If he was, he'd be playing on the line, but he's eye to eye with him. So there you go.
Well, that's pretty good height for a quarterback, and he's got good poise out there too. So he's got a great shot. And like you said, though, it's amazing. We got a handful of really top-notch sophomore quarterbacks that and who are already gaining some college looks hard, a couple offers here and there. So just got to take care of their bodies in terms of getting a little bit more muscle on it, and the proverbial keep your head that it fits in your helmet situation, so that they don't lose something by their senior year thinking they're already good and already won it, and they level off instead of keep getting better.
I see Coach Leon Scott out there says, "What's up, fellas?" Again, we can't get the comment from the IG.
Right, Leon.
Up to him. Last thought before we go to break here and give you the Friday scores after the break. Some other scores that are scrolling across the ticker around the state from Thursday night. One that jumped out at me, Ed, Stonebridge got just its second win of the year, 14-12 over Briar Woods. You think of Stonebridge year after year after year playing for a state championship. Their legendary coach, Mickey Thompson, retired, like you. And now Kedrick Golston, who used to play in the NFL with Washington as a defensive lineman, former Georgia Bulldog, is the head coach for Stonebridge. They've had a tough schedule. And we thought Briar Woods might be the favorite in that region. Riverbend, who had a big night again last night behind JoJo Thomas, who got some hits love from me. They're the 1 seed currently after their big wins over Colonial Forge, previously unbeaten Stafford, and last night beating Brook Point in a high-scoring game that you like. That was kind of the one score that kind of caught my eyes. It's scrolling again across ticker now. You take more out of that with Stonebridge, maybe could still be a fly in the ointment with a low seed and a not so pretty record, or do you think, Briar Woods, it's all right, no big deal? What's your takeaway from that? Anything? You shake your head a little bit.
Yeah, a 2-win season for Stonebridge is just unfathomable. If they get into the playoffs, my wonder would be, are they kind of, leveled off? It's not been a good year. Is it just let's get this season over with? Or
can I give you just their scores? They lost to Madison 17-0 in the first game of the year. Madison's highly ranked in our rankings on Virginia Preps, number 3 in Class 6. They lost to Woodgrove 8-7 on a touchdown and 2-point conversion at the very end of the game. Quince Orchard at Maryland, really good, powerful school, 10-0. Good Counsel, I think that's where Larry Rabama went, our buddy from the Pilot. Smacked him 48-10. Then they beat Potomac Falls 37-0. Lost unexpectedly to Light Ridge as the Lightning, relatively new school with Al Honesty, a William & Mary commit, beat them 21-14. Independence, nearby rival, beat them 14-10. And then they beat Briar Woods 14-12 before the matchup with Riverside, who I think they'll beat to finish up 3-6, I think it is? Yeah, so not a normal year for a Stonebridge. But, hey, you look at it and you say, is what it is, and you never know that once you get to the playoffs, it's wipe the slate clean, and you go from there. So,
it's true, but
they also lost to Dunbar. I missed one. They lost to Dunbar 14-8. By the way, another school that beat them early in the year. I missed one. Skip that over. Go ahead.
And a lot of their losses were close, not totally destroyed. So you wonder if a team of that nature gets in a playoff and finds themselves, and boom, all of a sudden, get a win or two. Become a real problem. It could be them. But on the other hand, too, this is a program, and I'm short of junior and seniors who have always won, and now they're not. And it's sometimes you don't know how to handle that. It's like, let's just get the season over with and let me get out of here. It becomes a definite mindset, mental, 100% mental. And you don't know which way they'll be in that. I would say it's one of those proverbial type teams that you say, I wouldn't want to play them in the first round because their older kids are used to being in the playoffs, so they'll understand that. But Stonebridge with 3 wins, wow, potential to get 3, has 2 right now. That's different.
Yeah, very different. Coming up, as you see after the break, you'll hear from John White. His Bayside Marlins got themselves a win that should put them in the playoffs in Region 5A. They took it on the chin a couple Saturdays ago against Green Run. Got shut out in that game. They've now beaten Kellamanosia Lakes to secure a 500 or better regular season, 5-4 for them now. And remember, they got hit by the transfer bug in the offseason, lost a lot of key guys, also some graduation guys as well. But you'll hear his thoughts after that win. And we've got more scores to go over with you. We have a new game today. We've played buy or sell, fact or fiction. It's called Like It or Lump It. We'll see if Ed Young likes it or if he lumps it. And you can always interact with us. NFL picks at the end, too, for week number 9. Both Ed and I got as many games right as all of you out there, folks. We got none. Actually, you probably got more than us because we got none of them right on our picks contest. 0-3. And that vaults Virginia Beach Mustangs maestro, organizer, director, extraordinaire, Bruce Pearl into first place with a sub-500 record. Hey, if we can be under 500 and make the playoffs, so can the Bulldogs and so many others out there. More to come right here on this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. And don't forget, later this month, join us at the Plex. We'll be there for the Neptune Bowl. What is it? Take a look.
Get ready for the Neptune Bowl presented by DoubleTree by Hilton on November 23rd, 2024 at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Tailgating starts at 10 a.m. Grab your passes for just $50. Gates open at 12:30 with kickoff at 2 p.m. Advance tickets are only $20 or $25 at the gate on game day. Don't miss the 3rd annual Neptune Bowl featuring a dynamic matchup between the Apprentice School Builders and the Atlantis University Atlanteans. Visit beachsportsplex.com to learn more today and secure your spot.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Rosemary Wilson grew up in a military family. Rosemary knows that Oceana creates over 13,000 jobs for our community. When Washington, D.C. talked about closing NAS Oceana, Rosemary Wilson was part of the team that kept the base open. And this year, Rosemary sponsored the resolution welcoming the next generation of Navy fighter aircraft to Virginia Beach. Rosemary Wilson listens and gets the job done. Rosemary Wilson, leadership that delivers.
The United States Air Force.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Back with you here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Coach Ed Young's got his WWE Championship belt in the background. I'm here in my high-tech studio. And we have more scores to go over with all of you out there, folks, on this particular edition of the program. Ed, we go to the district roundups, if you will. Where would you like to start with that from Friday's action?
Friday, let's go with
you got Beach, Bay River, Southeastern, Eastern Peninsula, privates and extras, as we call them. Small schools, Western Tallwood, wherever you want to dictate it. Where do you want to?
I'm trying to think where the game of the night was.
Well, if you looked at the records with unbeaten versus unbeaten, you would say it was in the BRD, the Bay Rivers, with the Pocosin Bull Islanders and the Bruton Panthers.
Go there.
He says, go there. Well, I can't. It would take me about an hour and change to get there. But I'll tell you what happened in the game. Pocosin, a winner, 42-6 over the Bruton Panthers, as they are now 9-0. First time since 1978 that they're 9-0. Eli Tyndall came back for them at quarterback. And right out of the gate, you saw it on the highlight shows last night, Anthony Henderson Jr., son of Hampton University Athletic Director Anthony Henderson Sr. It's his son because Junior's not the dad, Senior's the dad. Took the opening kickoff 93 yards to the house, but 7 different guys ran the football for a total of 288 yards for the Bull Islanders, including Dylan Bullard. And Pocosin had its way. Dom Glakak, great name, probably butchering it, had a 60-yard interception return. Got called back on a penalty, but he still had a pick. Also with interceptions, you had Jason Kell. And Pocosin got 2 interceptions from Bullard on defense. Tyndall had some moments throwing the football. He's now back at QB. They were down to a third stringer when they beat Smithfield in 4 overtimes. And Pocosin looking like a real strong contender to win the Class 2 state championship after back-to-back Region 2A titles. Again, we have number 2 in the state on Virginia Preps in Class 2. Bruton had given up 34 points in its previous 8 games to go up 42 in the spot. Pocosin victorious. Your other Bay River scores and get Ed's reaction to them all right here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. You also had in the BRD, War Hill, a winner over Tab, 35-29. Grafton, 29-23 over Jamestown to get their second win and leave the Eagles winless. And by the way, Tab scored 26 unanswered when they were down 21-3 in that game to grab an early 29-21 lead in the fourth quarter. But then War Hill came back, got a touchdown, missed the 2-point conversion, then had a 10-yard TD with a minute and a half to go to pull it out for the victory. And then your crazy game of the night, which also got some hits love on our social pages. How about the Smithfield Packers? Down 31-7 to New Kent. And I can hear Ed Young stomping his feet, using his fists. Don't swing and hit anybody when you do it. I knew I should have picked New Kent. Well, if you had changed your pick midstream, you would have been wrong twice because Smithfield came roaring back from 24 down at the start of the fourth quarter. Was it a pep talk from Pat Doolin or head coach Tracy Parker or assistant Kermit Buggs? Whoever gave him a pep talk. Maybe Keith wasn't there. We were told he was not there. I'm stunned by it. Whatever happened, whoever gave it to him, they've been a mascot. Somebody, it worked because Smithfield erased that 24-point deficit and they win it. They got touchdown passes from their quarterback, who was their backup. Remember, the starter, Kyle Buggs, injured. So they've had to go to a new guy quarterback, DeMarcus Custis, to Jakeem Montgomery for 30 yards to start the rally. Then Custis finds Merlin Lance for a 25-yard strike. New Kent fumbles the ball. They covered a kickoff at their own 1. It's a calamity of errors. A safety happens as well. It made it 31-23 before you blinked. And Kenye Martin gets a touchdown run that puts them ahead. They go for they get a field goal to New Kent to start the overtime, and Martin gets the game winner. 34-31. I'm sorry, 30. Was it 34-31? It was 30. What was the final? Good Lord, now you got me all confused here. 37-34 was your final. Smithfield over New Kent. My gracious, what a ball game. Your reaction to the BRD, and I'll stop talking.
Most of it went according to plan, except I did pick Tab to knock off War Hill. Didn't come through. I just had a feeling that feeling was not good. Smithfield game, I mean, just listening to it as to what happened, 31-6, and you come back and win it. It ain't over until it's over.
Till the Fat Lady sings. 31-7 till the Fat Lady sings.
It's
and
tremendous.
They made 31-7, 31-23 within a minute into the fourth quarter. Think about that. They got a touchdown, first play of the fourth quarter, the kickoff or fumble, touchdown again, and then the safety. So they got literally 16 points in a span of 30 seconds. That's how you do it. You do it that fast. Bingo,
It's
bango,
Reggie
bongo.
Miller-esque.
Yeah, Reggie Miller-esque on the football field. As Derek says, chiming in, it was an epic comeback.
Yeah, tremendous job. And again, I'm happy for Tracy Parker, good friend. Try to get rolling into these playoffs, get that momentum. a great comeback. But it goes to show if they're down any more games, hey, fellas, remember what happened before. We can do this, but let's try not to get down that much because you keep doing that, eventually the odds are against you. And doing it with I guess you could say the backup quarterback. He wasn't number one guy to begin the year. That's even greater on that youngster's part too, to engineer that type of comeback. But that was tremendous on their part. And I picked Smithfield, so I won't be too upset. Every time I pick New Kent, that's why I went with Smithfield on this one. But everything else somewhat according to plan. And of course, Pocosin putting the points on Bruton. I didn't see that happening. I thought maybe high scoring on both teams' part, but Bruton didn't show up after that opening kickoff. That was it.
Well, but I wouldn't get on Bruton. I think a lot of that, Edward, was just, to be quite frank with you, I think a lot of that was Pocosin was ready for it. They've been in these big moments, championship experience, medal, veteran players. They're used to the bright lights. They played Lake Taylor to start the year on the road, though Lake Taylor's not what they normally are. So I chalk that up to more of that than anything in that spot. To me, I don't know how you feel about it, but that's kind of how I feel about it. I think I agreed with you in the ratings. I got Pocosin number 2 to stay behind your infamous G-men. And I'm not sure anybody going to take the Graham team down because they're smoking people. So smoke them.
But I got
smoke them if you got them.
Well, I'm not big on any kind of smoking, so you got to be careful with that. Yeah, unless you're smoking some type of on the grill, some meat or whatever, some turkey, some steak. I'd smoke meat. Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Okay. Well, you brought up my state rankings, so before we continue on, do you want me to show on the screen here for the ladies and gents out there, since you are talking about the state rankings?
Yeah, you can. I can tell you where you're wrong at, but
we'll just go to that class 2 for a second. We'll go to other divisions as time allows us here on the program, but we will
especially where we have some 757 flavor up there.
Well, there's flavor everywhere. Is it on the screen now? I think it is. Okay, well, I got to zoom in somehow because this is going to be tricky to see. You see Chris Edwards of Graham there, the G-men, and Ridgeview fell out last week after their loss. So I think if we zoom in enough, you'll see it on the screen. There you go.
This is before last night.
This is before last night. We had Graham 1, Pocosin 2, Union 3, who lost to Abingdon last night.
And I'm telling you, this is before I even knew what happened last night. I've got Graham, I got Pocosin. Buckingham is 3rd.
You think, you going Buckingham that high?
That high. Clark County, stay right where you're at 4. Glenvar, 5, good. Union, I dropped down to where Buckingham. So I switched them around. I'm going to drop Union even more.
Wow.
Then I have
Union had Graham on the ropes in an early game this season. Melton 7 District rivalry, or I should say not Melton 7 District, a Class 2 Region D rivalry game. They play every year pretty much in the playoffs.
I had Bruton above Stratford. I switched them around. Might have to go re-switch them again this week. Riverhead over Stewart's Draft, and I put Stewart's Draft 10. So I just did a little rearranging. But Buckingham, yes, I put them up there. I think you're napping on Buckingham.
I'm napping on Buckingham.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, there's now a snag. Do you know what the snag is?
I'm going to guess you, but explain it.
I'm going to see if I can share this on the screen. I don't know if I have the capabilities. I'm trying to do it before we move off the Bay Rivers and go to another district. And again, we have that win with John White and his Marlins from Bayside coming up here. Can you see it on the screen? There you go. Do you see it? It's blocking your view and mine. Dear CHS families, we've been notified by the Virginia High School League that a member of our football team met all requirements of their transfer rule and is eligible to participate in athletics at Central High School. The ruling comes after an investigation was conducted by VHSL Independent Hearing Officer Robert Berry. In addition to the student athlete being eligible, the Central football team's 3 forfeits will be restored as wins on their record. So Central Woodstock, the Falcons, who were in the top 10, and earlier this year, Edward lost the season opener by not a whisker, I think it was 10-7 it was, to Riverheads, the Gladiators. They forfeited 3 games and looked like they might be out of the playoff picture or be an 8 seed under new head coach Randy Hoover, who took over from Mike Yu. So instead of an 0-4 start, it is now a 3-1 start. It is now a 7-2 record after their 41-6 win over Page County. They play Strasburg coming up next week. So all of a sudden, poof, they gained 4 wins in a span of 24 hours. Central Woodstock.
That's pretty good.
Might be a dark horse. Yeah.
That's pretty good if you can get that 4 wins within a day.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Now, only
Hey,
thing
look who's on with us. Give me your thoughts. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Lynn Burke.
Should be soon to be Hall of Famer. I don't know if Lynn knows that I've nominated him for Hall of Fame. So we'll keep our fingers crossed if it happens.
And I second the opinion greatly.
Well, I did. No. You second the opinion. I did the nomination thing. I nominated him. I put it out there in the ethos.
And when I went in there, I hope I didn't hurt Lynn because I used some choice words about.
If he doesn't get it, we're blaming you. It's your fault.
Yeah, I said, how's Burke not in the Hall of Fame? You got some of these other yogis in here who are good, who good, but he's not in here. I said, somebody better do something soon before I do. And then I walked out.
And I can't say who, but a little birdie's told me, and I hope Lynn accompanies this guy, but one of our Virginia Prep staff members is getting the nod to the Hall of Fame. I can't say who that individual is, but one of them is getting the nod to that. I have been told from a very good source. One thing, too, for Lynn out there, and I know he's watching. I know he sent me an email about this early this morning. I had a chance to reply. Bethel Minchville, that game was postponed. He asked, good question. It is getting made up. That's going to be on November 7th coming up next Thursday at Darling. You got 2 games in the peninsula because everybody has their schedule in, but they left that wiggle room for makeup games. Denby Phoebus is going to be next Friday at Todd, I believe it is, and Bethel Minchville, I think, is on Thursday at Darling. So there is 4 teams in the PD that are in action next week. All right, we've covered the Bay Rivers. Where do you want to go to next?
Let's stay on that side of the water.
Peninsula?
PD. Let's do PD.
PD action from Friday night. Not a lot of it because we mentioned there was 2 games on Thursday, and you have a giant game today, Phoebus Warwick. If you missed our conversation with Corey Hairston of the Raiders, go check it out from last week. It was also one of our guest spots we used on the Hash with Hatfield. You have Gloucester and Woodside taking place today at Todd Stadium as well. Both Ed and I have the Phantoms beating the Raiders 14-10 for me. I think you picked 24-14. I can't believe you went against Corey Hairston like that when he offered you the invitation on the show last week to come move the chains and Warwick gear. Why would you do that? That's just you turned your back on Warwick. You turned your back on him.
You either pick with your head or you pick with your heart. I went until Phoebus loses, they're not losing.
Well, I agree with that.
That's a Yogi Berra statement. You don't lose until you lose. And Phoebus hasn't lost in a long time. Can Warwick win? Absolutely. No question in my mind they can win it. But I think one thing about Phoebus, I believe this strongly, the bigger the game, the better they are. They're really good in the big games.
I concur with that.
And that's not true of a lot of really good teams. It doesn't take anything from them, but sometimes when they meet somebody as good as they were, slightly better, they don't really come out on top. They crush everybody else in good teams, but the team as good or better. And again, I'm not going to take anything from Warwick. Corey Harrison's done a great job and would not be shocked if they win today. But I went with Phoebus and the prognostication. That's all.
The Raiders trying to get their 16th win in the series in 53 meetings. Phoebus coming in on a 66-game winning streak, 66-game winning streak against Peninsula District teams. Let me clear that up. A 43-game winning streak overall, which is the active longest win streak in Virginia. And by the way, they've won 25 in a row over the Raiders in the series. Last blemish being 10-7 in 2001, back when Marcus Vick was quarterbacking Warwick High for then coach Tommy Riemann, who's now the coach at Denby, which is my little transition to what happened last night. Denby had an early lead last night, Edward, at Todd Stadium against the Minchville Monarchs. It was 7-0 in their favor, but the Monarchs responded. They ended up tying that football game up, and they did so in the first half with 5:51 to go. Third and goal touchdown run from 3 yards out. It stayed 7-all until an 89-yard touchdown pass in the third period. Monarchs added 2 more touchdowns, a 6-yard run and an 18-yard pass in the fourth quarter to win it 28-7. Mitchell should get a playoff spot, either a 6, 7, or 8 seed in 5B. In the case of Denby, even at 2-7, probably going to 2-8, they're going to get that last spot, it looks like, in the 6th seed. They're taking 6 to the playoffs in Region 4A. 1 and 2 seeds get buys. No 7 or 8 this year from the Jamestown Phoebus debacle last year. So there you have it. And by the way, while we were talking about Warwick, we do want to acknowledge we did it on the show the other day. We didn't have the graphic. We have the graphic now thanks to our man Jack Lowe and the Cova Sports TV staff. Our Chicho's Pizza 757 Football Player of the Week. He's got himself a nice plaque coming his way. I think we have pizza vouchers coming the way of some players. We got some vouchers to these Coach of the Weeks we'll get to as well. We'll tell you who the Coach of the Week was, brought to you by Il Giardino in a little bit. But Saeed Williams, who had the 7 touchdowns last week against the Hampton Crabbers, 4 by air, 3 by ground, having himself a heck of a year in directing that Warwick offense on the year. Saeed coming into this matchup with Phoebus today. And so far, he has thrown for 1,183 yards, 15 touchdowns versus 2 intercepts, 11 rushing scores as well. So kudos to Saeed Williams Jr., the junior trigger man for the Warwick Raiders, our Chicho's Pizza 757 Football Player of the Week. Who's going to get it next week? You'll have to find out and tune in to On the Hash with Hatfield later on this week on Cova Sports TV for that.
Kids having a heck of a season. I mean, he's heck of a season. And if they win that today, I'm sure he's probably going to be the main reason. But that Phoebus defense is going to be coming hot and heavy at him all day long. So he's got to be ready. And again, big games like this, I always say it's line play. Whatever line dominates, that team is usually going to win. We say that probably a lot of games, but the bigger games, I think that's extremely important because it gives your skill guys chances to do things with the ball. So, and both those teams do have very good lines. So we just have to see who had the better one today.
Yeah, that could very well be the case. All right, so we've covered a lot of the scores. We've covered a lot of the action, Sir Edward. We now have to go to the south side, though, because we've taken care of the PD and the BRD. So do you want to go to the beach now? We tease the John White interview, or would you rather go to the eastern or southeastern first? He's shaking his head. Southeastern. Lug's just taking me all over the place like a roller coaster. That's what it is, folks. How is it working with Ed Young? I say it's a roller coaster. And you get queasy at times. It's
up and down, but you're always going to have some fun. So, and there's a lot of screaming going involved because I can make you scream.
You said you're always going to have some fun and some screaming. That's what she said. Southeastern District, Oscar Smith, 49. What's that?
Somebody didn't hit the symbol.
What symbol? What do you mean, what symbol?
Never mind. It went right over your hat.
Over my head? Okay. Oscar Smith, a winner over Hickory, 49-21. Western Branch, 24. Grassfield, 20. That win should get Rashard Cook's Western Branch Bruins into the playoffs. What a job they've done after really what was a not so pretty start to the year. Rashard Cook's team going to make the postseason. It does look like, Ed, in Region 6A. Remember, they had lost 4 in a row. They were 1-4 in Reeling. They've now recovered and won 3 of 4. They got Oscar Smith next week. Good luck with that. That won't be easy. Meanwhile, in addition to Western Branch winning it, and Jamari Parker had a big play in that game. I think it was a special teams play, if I saw it correctly last night, to lift them past the Grassfield Grizzlies, who's now got their playoff hopes in peril before they play Indian River in the regular season finale. Indian River, a winner over Great Bridge, 42-7. And Kings Fork got back on that horse. They got beat by Oscar Smith last week, 27-12. But it was all Bulldogs with plenty of bite, 62-3 over Deep Creek. That is a beatdown. Nansman River, 47-7. So all of your games, for the most part, with the exception of the Western Branch Grassfield game, pretty comfortable wins. I will say Oscar Smith was down early against Hickory. It was like, I think, a 7-6 game, I want to say into the late first, early second quarter. Hickory hung in there, and now Hickory has to play the wait-and-see watch game because they're in Region 5A. They got Kings Fork next week, 4-6. Might not cut the mustard to get in. Deep Creek, by the way, they're 4-5 in 5A. They've got Lakeland next week, so they should finish up 5-5. We'll get to a couple of the beach results and how this impacts Region 5A in a bit. And again, we can't tabulate all the PowerPoints because there's some games today, although Region 5A, we have a pretty good idea of what it looks like. Nonetheless, Southeastern scores, you're going to tell me when according to form because you got all 5 of them right. I will say That was an important response, not just to win, but by the margin that Anthony Joffreyon's Bulldogs did after what happened last week. They didn't just beat Deep Creek. They took them apart and took them behind the woodshed.
Yeah, that's a definite statement with what Kings Fork did. I think that loss will spur them on now. It's like repeating, like getting it going now for playoff season. But everything else went according to form. I almost picked Nansen River on the spot. I had 45-0. It was what, 47-7? Yeah, 45-0 in there. And I think I got you on the Western Branch game.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Would you like a cookie?
I got one.
Okay. Why don't you chew on it and, let's go to another district now. We've covered the Southeastern. Where are we heading to now? Beach or Eastern?
Eastern District.
Who wants to save the beach for the very end?
Eastern
District. Maury, the Commodores. Daryl says they're number one. We're not arguing with them. 49-7 over the Truckers of Churchland High. It's the first time that Maury scored less than 50 points since October 4th when they went to Portsmouth and beat Norcom 49-12. So Portsmouth School's giving them a little bit more trouble, although they beat Manor 97-0, so we can't say they give them too much trouble. 42-point win for Doree McCain's Commodores, who got those 7 touchdowns, and here's who scored those 7 touchdowns. Altori Newkirk, 14-yard strike to LeBron Bond. Not James Bond, but LeBron Bond, the Indiana commit. He says go Hoosiers today in their matchup with Michigan State. They got a touchdown run, a 9-yarder from Tayshawn Branch. Carter O'Rourke with a TD off a block punt. Newkirk had 2 more TD passes to Elijah Moss Williams. He also found Javon Wiggins. So if you're doing the math, that's 4 more TD passes for the sizzling signal caller for the Commodores. And their last one, a 50-yard run by the former Churchland running back, Leon Fatman Clark, a William & Mary commit, before Churchland's Devontae Brown found the end zone with 8 minutes to go, running clock on a 33-yard reception. So 49-7, Maury, a winner over Churchland. Your other Eastern District results from Friday night in the 757 area code. You had Granby all over Manor, 55-0. Norview and Booker T were off. You have Lake Taylor at Norcom today, homecoming for the Greyhounds in Portsmouth. So it sets up Maury, Granby, epic showdown, shall we say? Or not so much next Friday night at Powhatan Field in Norfolk, the same day as the Keyshawn Davis fight. How dare they, right?
That's right. Yeah. It's a huge game, but both are going to go in undefeated. But
are you about to disrespect Granby? Go ahead, disrespect.
Yeah, I'm not disrespecting. Maury has been in the bigger games. They've done the scoring on Maury is just unbelievable. I actually thought they'd score in the at least in the 60s against Churchland, but they didn't. But they got the win. I would say I would lean towards Maury next week. See what Granby brings to the field for next week. I know it's a game they've been waiting for. They didn't let it occupy their minds too much in these games coming up because they won them all. But this is the game I know Granby has pointed to since the end of last year.
Yeah.
Because their improvement over the last couple of years has been immense. Sure. That this is the one they want, because most pundits, people are saying, Granby, you're good, but you ain't Maury. So now they have the chance to fix that.
I will tell you, coming up, there's a more intriguing game to me in terms of competitiveness. I'm not saying overall quality of play next Friday night in the 757 than that Maury Granby game. So maybe you'll call me a hater, or you'll say I'm crazy. Maybe we'll have a new game called Agree with Hatfield or Call Him Crazy, and Ed can just call me crazy, which he enjoys anyways. The other thing is, I took a lot of heat this week. I don't know if you heard about it on social media, IG. I even had one of the coaches last night at the game I went to bring it up to me like, boy, one of those position coaches for another school in the 757 is going at you hard on Twitter or X. I said, I can take it. I'm a big boy. I got my big boy pants on. I guess what I said on Tuesday's podcast with Lee Mary on Ball and VA podcast with his guests, that was, and by the way, picked up a lot of people on Instagram now following, which we appreciate. I guess I ruffled some feathers, which is, I learned that from you. I took a page out of your book, Ruffling the Feathers. I said that Maury is hands down, knees and toes, shoulders, the whole bit, favorite in Class 5. Now, I think people took that as me dismissing everybody else in Class 5, whether you're Granby, Warwick, Kings Fork, Green Run, Matoka, William Fleming, fill in the blank. That was not my intention or my point. I'm not going to apologize for what I said. I'm just going to clarify what I said. And he wanted to put shekels down, which we don't do for high school games, number one. Number two, I did say I'll donate to a charity if Maury does not win the Class 5 title. That's how confident I am. And I'll donate to any charity. I have no problem doing something for charitable causes. Do you feel like Maury is substantially better than everybody else in Class 5, or do you think they are beatable? Do you find any chinks in the armor from what happened last night? Do you see any weakness? You're just sitting there and you're chuckling. Go ahead, chime in.
I love when the heat's on you because you always try to put on me.
Temperature warms up. I start sweating.
Keep going after Hatfield. He deserves the heat you're giving him. He is disrespecting all 5A schools except Maury.
I'm the guy that said before the season, time out real quick, 30 seconds. I said before the season, I wasn't sure they were going 15-0, and you were confident about it.
No question.
I was questioning. Maybe
I said August 2nd, Maury will win the state title in 5. They can
I
hate
thought they win
me.
the state title, but I thought they could get tripped up with Wise, Highland Springs, Dinwiddie. And by the way, Wise came close. They had a pass in the end zone last play of the game. They came close, very close.
When they got through those 3 opening games, made me a believer. Not that the teams after that will be less of an issue.
You believed beforehand, but it made you a believer that they were almost.
Yeah, it did. And and these coaches, and I could say this because I'm one, when guys, pundits, experts, analysts, talking heads, when they throw out who they think is going to win and why, everybody else gets crazy. I've done it as a coach in the past. And we use it as bulletin board material. And when we do win, we make sure we go to find that person that said we won't and then really lay into them. We take it personal. And now being on this side of it, as well as still considering myself coaching, I still have a team. You gotta let that go. It's somebody's opinion. And it's not you're not any good. Okay. Look at 5A. It's tremendous teams that if you took them elsewhere, they'd have a great shot of winning also. They just happen to be where Maury is. And Maury is just extremely good, extremely stacked. They're too deep at every position. Not a whole lot of teams can say that. So it's not so much we're just dumping on everybody else. And if we're wrong and Maury loses, then everybody can go crazy and say, yeah, y'all idiots don't know what you're talking about. Okay, that's fine. But it's what we do to get it out there because a lot of people will say, well, what's your opinion? I'm not even a deep into it football analyst. I don't know all these. I go a lot off of what you say is going on in there. I try to keep up with some things here and there, but it's too much that I can't. I'd honestly consider myself much more into it in terms of basketball. That I know what I'm talking about when we look at some of these teams. But again, and again, there are just so many great teams in 5A. It's just Maury's the best. And I said it back in August. I think I said it in July. Maury's going to win the 5A title. If they don't, they're going to lose to somebody who's extremely good and was extremely better that particular day. And that's all. That's all it is.
Yeah,
but people still need to get on you a lot because you do rub a lot of people the wrong way.
Mind it. I can take it. I'm a big boy.
I'm saying you still have to take it because when you're in the seat you're in, you're going to have people come at you. And those will be the same people that'll ask you for favors later.
Oh, that's going to happen. And just do it. Just do it cautiously. Just don't do it with any malice or weaponry. That's all I ask. And I do think the Class 5 title is coming back to the 757. Sorry, people outside the 757 on that. We do need to get our man Super E chiming in. Eric Rogers, keep fighting the good fight. We aren't apologizing to these bag of nuts. There you go, E. Bag of nuts. I like that. Hey, we do need to get you back on the sideline. Just like we need to get someone just called me, by the way. I got a missed call. If anybody out there connects with him, tell them I'm on the air right now. Keith Honore. You remember Keith Honore, former Potomac basketball coach. So we need to get him back on the sidelines too. We do miss him coaching. Longtime coach, did a great job winning a couple state titles as the Potomac Panthers head man. Maybe you and him can get together and have a basketball seminar and air all your grievances, both of you. I'm sure you have more than he does.
How to get back on the sideline. Keith definitely still has a lot in the tank. and can be tremendous for any program and the kids that he would be involved with. Yes, he needs to be back on the sideline without question as to what he can bring to the table.
All right, we've now covered the Eastern, the Southeastern, the PD, the Bay Rivers. That leaves the privates and extras plus the beach. You want to go to the privates and extras or the beach? And by the way, it's not a matter of me wanting to go to the beach. Ed's just doing this to aggravate me because he knows we have the interview and he wants to just take it as long as he can before we take a commercial break. That's why he's smiling. He knows he's calculated. Everything Ed Young does, ladies and gents, he's a coach. He's wily. He's calculated. Go ahead. Where are we going next?
That's why Wile E. Coyote is my hero in the cartoon world.
Yeah.
He never gives up.
We just need an anvil to drop on your big head like it did on Wile E. Coyote's, and I can be the Roadrunner and go, beep, beep. That's what we need is an anvil to drop on your head.
He is the greatest. He never quits. He never gives up. He's always plotting. That's why he is my hero.
So who's playing Yosemite Sam and get rid of all them varmints for us on our show? Who's Yosemite Sam? That ain't Chuck, is it?
No, it could be. It could be. Yeah, it wouldn't be. No, it wouldn't be Nick.
Go check Yosemite Sam. He might not give me a check. What'd you say?
I think it would be. That would be Chuck of those. It would be. I'm trying to think who Jack.
Who's Elmer Fudd? Who's Porky Pig?
Right, and
who's Foghorn Leghorn?
That's another great one. Foghorn Leghorn.
Maybe we can get a cartoonist. Oh, you know what we got? I got Mark Butts, another former basketball coach who's got some time on his hands. Great artist. Maybe he can do a little cartoon drawing with the cartoon characters and us as those. That'd be good. You as Wile E. Coyote. I like that. Yeah, it's a little idea.
That's another T-shirt design that could sell. So
yeah, there you go. All right,
we are still efforting a shirt design that has Hatfield and I and cartoon character on there so that we can do some giveaways.
Yeah.
And maybe even sell.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Full disclaimer. I want to apologize publicly. I haven't had a chance to reach out to him and to Russell Savage in the Sports Card Collectible Comic Book Expo show. We had giveaways. I dropped the ball completely. We were supposed to do the show from there last week at the Field House. I dropped the ball completely. I had a lot going on. It just slipped my mind. I didn't realize it till later. And that's just my fault. So I do apologize. We do want to do our show from his autograph. He does a great job with the autographs and the collectibles and the folks that go out there, the vendors. We've had him on the show before, and you've been out there to his shows. I've been out to a couple of his shows too. I think you've been more than enough.
Best in the state.
Yeah, we dropped the ball. I dropped the ball
in the country.
Yeah.
And we will be there at that next show. I blame it on you, but it slipped my mind too because I was planning on going. There's some cards I'm definitely looking for that I wanted to get. I didn't even wrote the list down, and it slipped my mind too. So yeah, we really kicked the can the wrong way there. So we got to fix that next time. That's all we can do. It's behind us now. Hey, admit it, move on. We made the mistake that I 100% blame on you, but it's okay.
Yeah. Private schools, you had Norfolk Academy blanking Catholic 35-0. Atlantic Shores a winner 43-10 over Smith Mountain Lake. You can see all the Atlantic Shores games that are home at the Sportsplex archived on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel. We give you the action for that as they were able to prevail in their matchup. Wayne Lance's Seahawks getting touchdowns from Chris Higgins, who fell in the end zone 3 times, a couple receptions and a punt return for the William & Mary commit. Dex Edmonds with an 80-yarder from Micah Lance, the trigger man, Coach Lance's son, who also threw an 8-yarder to Christian Franks. And there you have it, Atlantic Shores with a comfortable win over Smith Mountain Lake Christian, who, by the way, next year becomes the second, or it might not be next year. Soon they become the second private school to join the Virginia High School League. How about that, to join Liberty Christian on that front? And you also had in the private sector to go with Atlantic Shores' win and Norfolk Academy's win. We had Steve Monager on the show a few weeks back on the Hash with Hatfield. Mansman Suffolk Academy. Mike Beal Saints a winner over St. Anne's Belfield, 33-17. Some of your small schools, Essex over Lancaster, 57-8. Northumberland over Colonial Beach, 44-14. Rappahannock a winner, Edward, over Westmoreland, 46-14. Nandua over Washington of Maryland, 36-18. Charles City, 60. Matthews, 14. King William, 56. West Point, 20. Southampton, 59. Windsor, 26. I know that makes our man Keith a happy camper. Greensville over Franklin, 50-20. Northampton over Arcadia, 41-6. While we have a second before we do the beach scores, finally, We can share back on the screen our Class 1 top 10 from last week, even though I misspelled Northumberland, which was a bad job by me, and I'm sure you caught that, and you'll see it on the screen here again. Northumberland dropped out of the rankings after their loss last week to Westmoreland. We had Alta Vista, who won last night, Rye Cove, Rappahannock, Essex, George Wythe, Eastside, Bath County, Holston, the Holston Cavaliers, hotter than a stolen car, Ed, Westmoreland, and Grayson County. And by the way, another phone call's coming in. People don't know I'm on the air because we're doing the show early. Tell Bill Nettles out there. Someone call Bill Nettles because he doesn't have a text or tweet device that I am on the air. So I got to give Nettles and Honore calls back.
Your rankings, sir, are good until Essex is 4th. Yeah, I think watch out for Essex. Rappahannock. Yeah, I got that one. East Side. I think East Side and Wythe. Yeah, I switched East Side and Wythe. Those two I exchanged. Take a Bath County, yes.
Grayson County beat George Wythe last night, by the way.
Well, I'm going to have to put them in there because I dropped Grayson County out and put Northampton at number 10.
Oh, you went Northampton in. Okay.
Yeah, but now you say Grayson County. Who they beat?
They had a big lead against George Wythe, held on at the very end. They were about to lose it, and they were able to hold off the Maroons of George Wythe.
Well, that's when you can see why I dropped Wythe behind East Side. We'll have to drop them a little bit more, and I had Northampton at 10.
You can't name 3 players for these teams.
Yeah, you got the kid, the alignment, the tackle, Nelson. Last name's Nelson. They got a linebacker, last name George. And I can't remember first names.
Yeah, exactly. You can't remember first names. That's how bad you are.
No, I mean, if I could say this. They Steve, George, James, and there's a kid named Franklin, but I don't have their last names, so people can be somebody.
You're making that up. You're making that up because we could go down. Yeah.
Look it up. As Webster once said, look it up.
Webster's Dictionary or Webster from the TV show Webster?
No, Webster Dictionary. Thomas Webster.
Where would Webster make on your TV show list? Would it make the top 100?
No, I never got into the Webster.
You never liked Webster? You're a Webster hater?
It's okay. I just never. He had some funny lines. They got him.
You were more of a Different Strokes fan, weren't you?
No, that's not another show I was
you
big
didn't like Different Strokes with Arnold, little Gary Coleman? No way.
That's the one he did. What you're talking about, Willis? Yeah,
what
right.
What about Willis? What's about Ed Young?
It's good. It's good, but it's not in my top. Not in my top.
You didn't like Mr. Truman? Oh man. All right, Beach District now. You've put it off long enough. Cox a winner over Princess Anne as they took down the Cavaliers 51-14. How about Tyler Noe's offense, Ed? It has been humming all year long. 171 yards on the ground for them. Pretty easy night as they bolted out to a 37-point lead on the Cavaliers before halftime, and then the running clock was going in the second half. A.J. Martin did have both touchdowns for PA, one defensively, one on a touchdown reception, and that did it for the Falcons, who are now 7-2. Also at 7-2 are the Salem Sun Devils, a winner, responding from the loss to Cox last week, 55-20. How about these numbers? Quarterback Jason Scooter Williams, 5 touchdown passes, 4 of which went to sophomore wideout Kassir Patterson. Could he be the Chicho's Pizza Player of the Week? Well, if not him, it could be Scooter. If not him, it could be Willie Moore. Oh, wait. Willie's already gotten the award. Willie Moore had 289 yards rushing and 3 TDs. That's right, 289 on the ground and 3 TDs on 21 carries as Salem turned a tight ball game, a 21-7 lead at the half, into a rout, 55-20 at home over Tallwood Lions. Doesn't look like they can make the playoffs in Region 5A, as that was pretty much their last hope. They do have Bayside next week. What about those Marlins? Well, Bayside victorious over the Ocean Lakes Dolphins. Both Ed and I had Ocean Lakes in this one. Well, Bayside gets above 500 with a 20-7 triumph. They got touchdown runs from Amir Lyde and Xavion Guidry in their triumph over the Dolphins. Also, Kyron Brown. So 3 rushing scores and 3 interceptions, all of which were by Brown, Lyde, and Guidry. It's not a law firm. It's just 3 players for the Marlins of Bayside High. You'll hear from John White in just a moment. Kempsville a winner over the – who did they play last night, Ed? Kellam Knights. That's who they played last night. Kempsville 31, Kellum 12. Kempsville wins this game with just 197 yards of offense as they move their winning streak to 5. They're now sitting at 7-2 overall. They get 2 non-offensive touchdowns, one from the defense, one from the special teams. Tyron Kellum and Jillian Batty finding the end zone in those departments for the Chiefs. And one more beach score for you. It was Lansdowne 29, First Colonial 10. Green Run was off. Your thoughts on the beach scores, as no game was decided by fewer than 13 points?
I think everything went according to plan, yes.
No, you can't say that when you picked Ocean Lakes over Bayside.
I said except Ocean Lake. You let me finish my statement. Everything went according to plan, except I thought Ocean Lakes would edge out Bayside. I picked Bayside. I erased it like I always do, and then I went with Ocean Lakes and Penn. And I'm glad. I'm happy for John. Maybe Bayside's getting hot at the right time. But if you got it in front of you, can you put the 5 ratings up? Your 5.8, you have it?
You mean the top 10?
Top 10, yeah. Top 10.
I don't have the power ratings because, again, the games just ended last night. I have not calculated them, but I will put up the Class 5 top 10. I'm glad you said that as we will
I'm going to see. I don't know if I made any move differences with you on that.
There we go. Can we zoom in on it? Let's see here. So we had going into last night, and then, by the way, these records were going into last night.
Last night, right.
Matoka.
I got changes.
Look at all these shutouts, by the way. Maury, Matoka, Warwick, Green Run, William Fleming, Kings Fork, who fell, Granby, Briar Woods, who lost to Stonebridge, so I'm sure you want them out. Cox and Midlothian. Midlothian lost to Huguenot last night, and your honorable mention list had Louisa, Nansman River, Riverbend, all of whom won. Watch out for Savion Hyder, Dajier Carter. Carter's going to Rutgers. They're 2026 studs that came back to their home school, the Louisa Lions from Woodbury Forest. I ranted and raved and highlighted them on my Hats Hits IG Live special last night and on our Hats Hits on Twitter or X. Nansman River now 7-2 despite the injury to Tyrell Grant, quarterback. Riverbend's won 3 in a row behind JoJo Thomas. Who do you want in? Who do you want out? And what maneuvers would you like to make here,
All right,
sir?
here's the maneuvers I did before last night.
Go ahead.
I have Warwick number 2, Matoka 3.
Really? You're 757 bias, but go ahead.
757 bias come through.
Will that be
Green
the
Run
case if they lose to Phoebus today? Yes or no?
What if they lose? I'll move them, but right now I'm leaving them. Green Run, Fleming, yes. Kings Fork, though I really feel strongly putting Kings Fork over Fleming. Maybe next week I will do that. I got Granby, Cox, Midlothian, and I had Briar Woods down to number 10. So
we are in a 757, but there's not as much Nova or Richmond strength or even Roanoke. You have Fleming, Patrick Henry, Roanoke's on our team out there, but they're not quite as good as they were last year. This is dominated by the 757 schools, isn't it? And
exactly.
Obviously, you have 2 regions, A and B, that are 757 filled. So there you have it.
Yeah, it's right. Region 5 that's what I'm saying. In this region, Kings Fork, Green Run, Warwick.
What about 5C? Do you think Matoka breezes through it, or do you feel LC Bird, despite the 3 losses to quality teams, or even Louisa, who's getting hot now, 7 straight wins after the 0-2 start, getting Carter and Hyder back, 2 game changers, 2 explosive guys. Do you think it's Matoka's to win? 5D's up for grabs. Right now, I like Riverbend over Briar Woods, but 5C, who could see a Maury? Who could see a Green Run in the state playoffs? By the way, they're not cross-bracketing in 5. They're just cross-bracketing in 6 and in 4. 6 is still A versus B, C versus D this year. 4 is A versus D, and it is B versus C. But who could see a couple of our 7-5-7 teams? Whether it's the Commodores or Stallions, or maybe it's Warwick, Kings Fork, whoever it is. Who could see our teams come state tournament time in Class 5?
Yeah, I think Matoka is going to hold serve. Bird is always dangerous, and you said Louise is coming up. I think Matoka will hold serve. They've proven it all year. Okay. I don't think they're ready to start losing now. And I think you know better than me. They've been tested. Have they played? Their district has
Matoka. The Central District's always good with Thomas Dale and Hopewell and Dinwiddie. I mean, come on now, it's always a tough district.
That's what I'm saying. I think Matoka will hold serve for C.
While we have a moment before we go to the interviews, you see Dinwiddie's Harry Dalton. We just talked about he set the record for touchdowns by a Richmond player. Let's go to Class 4 for a second. Phoebus, Huguenot, Dinwiddie, John Champ, Jefferson Forest, Tuscarora, Varina, Salem, Hanley, GW, Danville, King George was the honorable mention, who beat the Crabbers this year, lost their first game, but they've now won 6 of 7 going into last night. Anything that you would drastically do differently in this top 10, or is it like you would say, yeah, it's according to format, I'm keeping it the same?
No. Here's my changes. I like your first 4, but I'm jumping Verona all the way up behind John Champy.
They play John Champy. It's John Champ, not Champy. By the way, I know you call him Champy. I'm
moving Tuscarora. Well, no, I have Tuscarora in the same spot. I moved.
They won big on Thursday night to Tuscarora. We had it flash across our screen. 34-7 over Woodgrove, who, has been pesky, really good receiver in Connor Solomon. So you would move Verona up. They play Highland Springs today. You got to pick on that game, Verona, Highland Springs. Who wins that one? That's a darn good game. Our man Danny Lewis is picking Verona. I'm going Highland Springs. Go ahead.
I'm going to go Highland Springs Slight Edge. That's one of your traditional big time games with tons of athletes all over the place.
No doubt.
I rounded out with Salem. I moved GW up. Salem down 1 and Hanley down 1.
Okay. That's what you got. Good to know. So that closes the rankings. We don't probably have enough time for Class 3 and Class 6. Maybe when we come back from break. But we now have to get to the interview. John White of the Bayside Marlins. He caught up with us after the win over the Ocean Lakes Dolphins. And I know Ed wants to hear, because we also asked John not only about how his team performed, the win, the key contributors, the season, but his advice for what Coach Young should do in coping with his Yankees' miserable choke job. Here's what he got to say about that and more on Cova Sports TV.
All right, I'm here with Bayside head football coach John White as Marlins victorious tonight, 20-7 over the Ocean Lakes Dolphins as they move to 5-4 overall. And most importantly, coach, it's not official, but it looks like you've probably clinched a playoff berth with this win tonight. Your 4th straight over the Dolphins. Your defense carried the way. How do you keep an offense that came in averaging over 34 points per game to just 1 score and pretty much contain them most of the evening?
Well, with high school ball, it's not really so much what an individual is doing, what another team is doing. It's really about where the ball is and who the main war daddy, whoever they're trying to get the ball to. And I feel as though we kind of understood that, and it was really number 2. The boy can move very well. He's definitely a Division I talent, in my opinion. He might be a little bit on the shorter end for what some guys will say.
He's committed to Hampton.
Moves very well.
Your alma mater, yeah. And someone said to me a few weeks ago, one of your Beach District assistant coaches on our team said he looked like Johnny Manziel in the triple overtime game against Salem. So tonight he wasn't Manziel for you.
I'll give him that because he gave us some issues.
Sure.
The kid is different. He moves very well. His body balance is there. I don't care about height. The kid, when he squares up, it worried me every time my eyes went from him to the zone. Mm-hmm. But he did very well. So going back to what I was saying, I felt as though if we could simply get to our spots the right way, cut off his primary reads, make sure the D-line does their job, we could make some things happen and force those guys to make mistakes. What we didn't want to do is overcompensate. We didn't want to sit there and try to be the dancer. We wanted to be the DJ.
Sure.
So we could dictate what they did, and they had to respond to us. So it worked out well.
You intercept a good dual threat player in Cologne tonight 3 times. Kyron Brown, your sophomore running back. Xavier Guidry, your senior, also runs the ball. And senior Amir Lyde. How about all 3 of those guys going both ways, all running with success, a couple of them finding the end zone and getting key takeaways for you? They really stepped up for you, especially those 2 senior leaders for you in Guidry and Lyde. Yeah, and they had the ups and downs. You're not going to have a fairy tale senior year. You're going to have some bumps and bruises. You're going to be frustrated with yourself, frustrated with your teammates. You might even be mad at the coach, but you got to respond. Such is life. Each season is going to be a microcosm of your life, and these guys responded well. So as far as building as young men, that's the part I'm most proud of. Mm-hmm. You're going to have some things that don't go your way. If you respond and it goes your way, you're appreciative of those bad things, and then you grow from it. Sure. So I know this is about the kids, but how's it for you personally? You had a lot of roster turnover. Your team got beat pretty handily on homecoming by Green Run. You've responded with 2 quality wins over Kellum. You cut down the penalties from over 200 yards in that win to tonight about 80. How do you feel about it? Because it does look like, hey, this could have gone south for you after that game, and you've pretty much salvaged it, if you will.
In all honesty, Matt, not trying to take the high road, but honestly, it really is them. It's them first. Shucks, my own son is on the team, so it really is about them and how they respond.
And shout that out, the freshman and his number, if you can.
Eric White, number 20. Okay. He'll be on the sideline with me for a little bit, but I think he'll develop. He's definitely going to develop.
Sure.
Him and his freshman group we have, Isaiah Biddledine and some of these other young dudes, they're going to do very well. I think they're going to do very, very well.
Sure.
But it's really about them growing. This football's a tool. Football's a tool. Now, obviously, personally, we had some roster turnover, but it was really about those guys stepping up. Flash would have been maybe a role player on defense, but once we knew things were changing, He locked in and made some big things happen at JMU, made some big things happen at the Kellum 7-on-7. And then, of course, he knew that he's our main, workhorse on offense. So he had some real big things that happened for him tonight. So watching those guys grow from that, to me, that's imperative.
And you got a lot of Bayside people with you on your staff, from J.P. Davis to Jaquan Glover, Tyree Dozier. I'm probably leaving some out. Even the former Marlins coach helping you out here.
And, of course, most importantly, not knocking the rest of those guys is obviously Darnell Moore.
That's what I was going to next.
I think about when we had the 757 AGG and all the stuff that Miss Faye did for us, and she was the spearhead of that entire group. She ran the meetings. She would tell us be quiet. She would make the motions. She would do everything, and me and Coach Moore had to sit there and just get out the way and make things happen.
Sure.
But with that being said, to have him, to have this group, it literally is the family feeling. And then on top of that, to have these wins like this and to build off a game like this is very good.
Final one before a fun note here. How important is it to finish on a high note against Tallwood to secure not just a playoff berth, but a good seed? Because you obviously want to be the 8th seed. You want to get maybe 5, 6, 7, depending on how things play out this last week. Plus, you want to go in on a win streak too, right?
Yeah, we definitely do. We're never going to be the biggest team, and we know that Tallwood's got some size. Shoot, Kellum last week was massive. But we feel as though if we can match up with people once we see film, we think we can always do some really good things and put some film together, get guys to school, as well as, see how we can roll and, matriculate our ways into the playoffs. So it's not too tough for us in regards to making those adjustments because, every team does something different. Every team has their main guy. So, we always want to check it out, see what we do well, what we did well from the previous game, and then, of course, fix the things that we didn't do well.
Lastly, any words of advice from my 757 Saturday Sports Talk podcast partner, Coach Ed Young, not for picking against you 3 times in a row, which I'm sure you're glad about, but
he picked against us today.
Yeah, he did, but also for his New York Yankees falling. Right? Yeah, and also his Yankees falling to the Dodgers in 5.
Is it Quinnipiac?
He did go to Quinnipiac. That's right. He coached there. He didn't go there.
Does he still have a house there?
Does he still have a house? I don't know. He might have burned it after the Yankees lost to the Dodgers. Would you give him any words of advice on how his baseball team, how he's coping with that loss, which I know he's struggling with right now?
I taught Chris Taylor, Cox grad. So I'm not a Dodgers fan.
Thank God, because I'm a D-backs fan, and I wouldn't like you if you were.
Shohei Ohtani is a dog.
Okay.
But I do like, like a couple of those guys from the Yankees. But Ed's got to do his job. That's my dog. I'm picking with Ed.
Okay.
Ed's my guy.
So no words of advice, though.
Oh, hey, man, ups and downs, bro. It happens. We've had our ebbs and flows, I guess. He'd be all right.
Okay. Coach White and his Marlins are quite all right, too. They're now 5-4. Thanks so much. We'll see you again soon.
So there you have it. He said you'll be all right. Ups and downs, ebbs and flows. He did teach Chris Taylor, which I didn't know about, but there you have it. John's
a soothness in the storm. I'm perfectly fine from the
what did he say, DJ, not the dancer? That was a pretty neat line. How about that?
Yeah, that's a great line. I wrote that one down.
You're going to steal that now. I knew that was
coming. We want to be the DJ, not the dancer.
I think he's used that before. He's used that before.
I like that.
And by the way, he does have Darnell Moore back with him, and we think so much and send our best to Darnell. It's been a tough year for Coach Moore. And you know this, his brother and his wife, Faye, who we talked about there, who was helping spearhead that 757 All-Star game group that he and Tommy Riemann, Coach Moore, put together for many, many years. He lost both his brother and his wife within weeks apart. And this is very therapeutic for Darnell to be back out there coaching, even in a small capacity, just to be around football. And it's always still full of life and energy. And it was always good to see my good friend out there and one of the legends in the coaching profession, who bleeds Bayside Marlins. Of course, he coached them to a region championship with John as his assistant back in 2010. And, of course, he led Woodrow Wilson with Aaron Sparrow to a couple of state titles, coached at Norfolk State. So he also, people still yell, behold the green and gold his way. But, at 5-4, no, they're not a championship level team, Ed. No, they're not, I would say, super dangerous. But if they get the 7 line, I don't think they want to see Green Run in the 1-8 game again. If they get in the 7 line, 6 or 7 line, they could pose some problems to whoever's 2, 3, 4. I don't think they'll be at the 5 seed, but in a 2-3 line, they could pose some problems to a Cox, a Kempsville, or a Salem. Though those teams all beat Bayside pretty soundly, as you see the scores, 47-9, 28-18, 35-0. So the way they're playing now, incorporating the running game, they got kids that are believing more confidence. They were, beating pretty good. And again, you lose a lot of players that transferred out, a good chunk of them to Indian River. In fact, you lose some key guys, that has its effect. But the ones that have stayed and fought through the wars, I think they're maybe better for it.
Yeah, I think a lot with Bayside. You just know what team is going to show up. That's why I kind of bounce back and forth. I know John and the staff do a really good job of putting them in the right position to win a game based on what the opponents are going to do, which I believe most coaches do. Some teams are just extremely talented. It almost doesn't matter where you position them. Their talent is going to win out. With Bayside, based on losing some really key players on that crazy transfer stuff, you have to be a little bit more meticulous in what you do and what you. That's why football coaches are nuts about film. What do they do? Let us be ready for this set. Let us be ready for this particular play. And I think John does that as good as anybody. His record speaks for itself. It's just the kids got to do it. I mean, it comes across sometimes as saying, oh, so the coaches are always right and the kids are wrong. And I just had this discussion with somebody the other day. If you put your team in a situation to win based on what the other team does, I don't care what sport it is, and you practice that and you know that, and that team does what you say they're going to do, and you don't stop it, but if you gave your best effort, they're just better than you. But if you didn't really give your best effort, you made some mistakes, you made some gambles, you didn't work hard, you didn't play together, that's on the players. Sure. I've always said that. It's on the players, period. If I don't prepare them right, it's on me, and we lose, it's on me. So I think John does a great job of that, and it's just that you don't know the mentality of those players on any given Friday night or whenever they're playing. Now, do they have any more? Are they done regular season?
They have Tallwood coming up. So there's two sides of this coin. I'll get to the other side, heads and tails. You make heads and tails of it. By the way, they are probably might be a 7 or 8 seed, as I mentioned. They do have to add some more of a passing dimension right now. Their running game looked good. They can shorten the game and play ball control with that defense, which limited Ocean Lakes to 7 after averaging over 34 a game. We talked about big deal. But the other side of this coin, Ed, is Ocean Lakes now. They started out 4-0. They were my surprise dark horse in the beach. I don't want to abandon them entirely. Now, one of their key receivers, Devin McGill, was out last night, dislocated shoulder. Remains to be seen if he returns. You heard about Noah Colon, little Johnny Manziel's going to Hampton U as a football player, as a receiver for the next level. Ocean Lakes' offense, this was really their first game they were out of that because they lost to Salem by 7 in triple overtime, lost by 8 to Kempsville in a game they led and could have won, lost by 8 to Cox in a game they led. This is the first game they lost by double digits. And by the way, they have Green Run next week, who, if they do get in, they could certainly see them again 2 weeks in a row in a 1-8 matchup. What's happened to the Dolphins here? You know, we were talking about Salem's defense having struggles. It was not so much Ocean Lakes' defense last night. It was a couple weeks ago. This time it was the offense. They've gone from 4-0 to now 5-4, and what was looking like a great season could very well end up missing the playoffs, which would be tough for those kids after the super start.
I think the thing with Ocean Lakes is the great start kind of hurting them right now because they weren't able to sustain it. Now, injuries, you mentioned about the key wide receiver.
McGill.
And then once, when you're winning like that and you're not supposed to, and then people figure you out and then they stop you, now doubt comes into play.
Well, let me stop you there. Were they not supposed to? Because maybe they also took advantage of the schedule being soft early. They beat First Colonial, Tallwood, Kellam, PA, and then it got tougher with Cox, Kempsville, Salem, Lancetown, Bayside, Green Run. So the schedule makers did them no favor, putting a lot of the easier games in the front, tougher at the back end.
Right. And of course, they don't make their schedule.
No.
But there's no question about that. When you look at those teams they beat early and who they're playing now, no question where the stronger teams are. And that's what I'm saying. Teams have figured them out. They're able to see what's going on. So what they got away with early, maybe they're not getting. Now doubt comes into play. Confidence gets shattered a little bit. Throwing an injury here or there. Here we go. The season starts spiraling the other way. Can they grasp hold? Well, yeah, but Green Run next? Come on now. I mean, we're talking about a team that's a state contender that's up there. When you mention Mooring, we mention Green Run. We don't mention Ocean Lakes. So now you're going to have to play the greatest game of the season and hope they play their worst. And Green Run, when you hope they play bad, it's usually not a good result for you.
No.
So that's the situation they're in. And, you just got to keep plugging along. You just got to fix mistakes. You say the youngster with a shoulder injury may be done for the season.
We don't know yet. We have no idea if he's coming back.
You don't know. And then the other thing is, too, and I always hear this about football, especially the pros. And the analysts will say this. I don't want to hear about injuries. Team says, well, they had injuries and that kind of hurt them. Everybody has injuries. Well, see, I don't go that hard. You don't expect injuries. You don't want injuries. But if you get them, then you have to be able to have the fill-ins that get in there and can do some things, however you get them in there. Of course, pros you can trade. High school, you just got who's next. And then you got to hope he does well. But there's a reason he's not first team, first string.
Right.
And until he gets to that level, you're gonna have some trouble.
We've got two more shorter segments coming up to close out this episode before I make my trek over to Darling Stadium in Hampton. One final thought from me is, and this is for Coach James Yeager and his Dolphins, I know they're going to be going to work on the penalties because we talked about it with John White and Bayside. 200-plus yards they won in spite of it against Kellum. They reduced it to a much smaller figure in the 70, 80-yard department last night in single-digit flags. Ocean Lake, 17 penalties for 130 yards. That's going to get you beat a lot of times, and that's something they can't have against Green Run or if they get in the playoffs against whomever to have a chance of being successful, you would think. All right, we'll take a timeout. We've got more coming your way here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Don't you touch that dial right here on Cova Sports TV.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Don't miss the third annual Neptune Bowl. College football only comes to Virginia Beach once a year. Tailgating starts at 10 a.m. Grab your passes for just $50. Gates open at 12:30 with kickoff at 2 p.m. Advance tickets are only $20 or $25 at the gate on game day. Get ready for the Neptune Bowl presented by DoubleTree by Hilton on November 23rd, 2024 at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Visit beachsportsplex.com to learn more today and secure your spot.
Ever wondered why they said you're caught between a rock and a hard place? What about being caught between a rock and an easy place? Until next visit, this is Andy Rooney for Wondering Aloud on Poolside Adventures. Let's go back to Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young on 757 Saturday Sports Talk.
And we're back with you here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's nice outside, 80 degrees yesterday, Ed. It's November the 1st. You can't get much better than that, can you?
Yeah, it's perfect weather for November 1st, 80 degrees. Today, November 2nd, let's try to get 78 at least. Perfect time. But we're going to see, I don't want no more full in the pool until
Woodrow's out there loving it. You know it. So is
February.
Super E. The whole gang is loving it. Come on.
January, February. I want to see full in the pool live.
Okay.
January, February.
Well, we are asking on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel and all over who should be on upset alert in college football today. Let us know through IG, Twitter, X, what unranked team could knock off a ranked team or what underdog could beat a favorite. We want to hear from all of you, but it is time now to play our first ever Like It or Lump It. Ed sometimes can be the Eddie Downer, not Debbie Downer, and we have 5 of those that we're going to throw Ed's way, and I'll chime in too to see what Ed thinks about it. Now, I don't have the full bracket, but college basketball starting up on Monday. ODU men, home opener against Buffalo. The Mike Jones era begins for Monarch Nation. The women in Muncie, Indiana, Delisha Milton-Jones' team taking on Ball State. You have a bunch of college basketball games. We're going to dive in on one in a second. And the Sun Belt announced this week, Edward, I don't know if you saw the news that came out, but they are changing its tournament format to where they're going to take all 14 members for the men's and women's basketball championships coming up in March in Pensacola for its 7-day tournament format. Rest days now eliminated in an effort to prioritize the value of the 18-game conference regular season. The 1 and 2 seeds get buys to the semis. The 3 and 4 seeds get buys to the quarterfinals. And it's an interesting bracket unlike any other in college hoops. So like it or lump it, the Sun Belt now giving the 1 and 2 seeds buys the semifinal rounds, which means you just have to win 2 games and you're a champion and go and dance an automatic berth. You like this or do you lump this? I tend to like it because it puts emphasis on regular season results. Not as many games you got to win. Fewer upset Cinderellas, low seeds, bad records getting through. Others may not. Take some of the charm out of it. What's your feel? Do you like it or do you lump it?
When some conferences did this in the past, I didn't like it. If you're having a tournament, you're all in it. But you hit it right on the head. The top 2 teams, I think deserve a bye going into. I think the ACC did this too, has been doing it. That, okay, you want it to make the regular season mean something. We're going to let you have a bye or 2 before we go. Now, there are some coaches of those type of teams that say, no, we want to keep playing. We're hot. We want to keep going. We don't want to sit and then all of a sudden come out cold. Of course, I always, when they say coming out cold, I say, well, aren't you practicing? So you're still sweating. You're still working every day. Come on now. I think more conferences need to do this. It does put, I think, more emphasis on the regular season. And as a coach, I see both sides of, no, we want to keep playing, but I also say, good, I can give them an extra day or 2 off completely. We can rest a little bit. If we have any nagging injuries, hopefully they get healed by the time we play. I like it.
Okay. Our next one, as we go back into some more of these like it or lump it questions. Baseball. San Francisco Giants left-handed pitcher Blake Snell has exercised his right to opt out of his contract to become a free agent for a second straight offseason. You're smiling because I know you're thinking about your pinstripes. You must like it. Blake, you're always welcome to come play for the D-backs. You're always welcome to go play for someone not named Dodgers or Yankees that made me throw up. Hey, go help Cleveland. They need starting pitching, by the way. We'll get that Arizona-Cleveland World Series we should have got this year. But what do you think? Do you like this or do you lump this? 2 years in a row. Is he all about the money or is he trying to win? Well, everybody's all about the money. There you
go. What is free agency? It's the opportunity for a guy to go out on the field and say, you want me? Give me the money. Snell is most people still think he's top 10, 11, 12. I don't think he had a great year.
Didn't he throw a perfect game or a no-hitter this year? He threw one of the 2, I'm pretty sure.
I think, yeah, he did. He did throw a no-hitter. But I'll say I like it because of this. Everybody needs pitching. He's still a hot name. So he's going to make his money. I don't think San Francisco's going many places. So he maybe this time he decides to pick, because he picked the Giants pretty late, is to go to somebody that's up there. And it could even be the Dodgers. Because the Dodgers had all kind of problems with their pitching this year, still won the World Series. So, and I think they're the odds-on favorite. You'd have to say they're the odds-on favorite to go back and win it. But I don't begrudge guys because of the way the rules are. When you're a free agent, you get to be a free agent. Put yourself out there. And if you're a top-notch pitcher, you'd be a fool not to exercise the option because the money's going to be out there, and you got a chance to go to a really good team. He's not going to the White Sox. He's not going to, those type of teams. Okay. So he's going to look up at the higher thing. I wonder who it represents him.
I'll take your word for it. Number 3, before we take a timeout, the SEC sent a memo outlining punishment in the form of fining and suspending coaches if players continue to fake injuries in football games. We'll talk about punishment regarding a VHSL thing in a second. We talk a lot about like it or lump it. A lot of people upset about that. A lot of people happy about that. Do you like this or lump this? And by the way, you saw what we had scroll across the ticker in regards to this earlier, did you not? Or did you not?
Yeah, I saw some of the penalties, suspensions, whatever. First of all, who fakes injuries?
Players do to stop the clock and stop momentum. This happens a lot. And now here's what you're going to get you mad, because you're mad the coaches are going to get fined $100,000, suspended a game. That's part of the punishment. It's scrolling across the ticker here. That's what you're mad about. You say, why don't the players have to sit out a game or 2? Why aren't they getting their NIL money? Look at you. Because you're a player hater. You're a player hater. Don't hate the game. Listen, you're a player hater. Don't hate the game. Hate the players. That's you. You want to hate on the players and love up your coaches. Look at that. $50,000 fine. Second offense, another reprimand and $100,000 fine. Third offense, another reprimand and the coach. He's out there. Suspend him.
How do you know somebody's faking the injury? So they're going to have a doctor on each sideline. Guy goes down and gets hurt. Bring the doctor out. Examine him quickly. Okay, he's injured. Nope, he's not injured. It's fake. Fine. What are we going to do with this?
Any player to seen an injury will face the same measures.
Lump this stupid thing. It's a joke.
He loves it. He hates it.
If he's hurt, he's hurt. If he's not, it's the coach's strategy.
I like it. I like it.
I've told kids before. I told one kid one time, hey, pretend you're looking for your contact lens. We need a few more seconds.
Oh, so you did? Wait. Yeah. So you're just like him. You're a cheater.
And these are the kind of kids I have. The kid started looking for a contact, and the ref said, "What are you doing?" The kid said, "I'm looking for a contact I don't have." The coach said, "Look for one."
Oh, he outed you. That's why you were mad. He outed you. That's
why I love my kids. I have great kids. NBA, was it Jason Kidd? Yeah, Jason Kidd. He spilled water on purpose. And then before they went back into play, I remember him yelling at the referee, "Hey, hold it, stop. We got to get a towel here. Somewhere got to clean this water up." So there's a few more seconds to ice the shooter on the other team. I forget who it was. It's strategy by the coaches that, you can say, is it right or not? But nobody got hurt in the deal.
Dirty, cheating dog.
And it's gamemanship. But lump that one by the SEC. SEC, you got a lot more worries than faking injuries. Trust me. And I just heard yesterday, one of the pundits said, look for the SEC to get 4, possibly 5 teams in the football playoffs.
It's the best conference in the world.
No way.
Best conference in the world.
No.
Why not?
2, maybe 3. 2 is the number I'm looking at.
Why not?
Because then let's have an SEC playoff for the national championship.
It's coming.
So
NFC, AFC, SEC.
You have to award the Sun Belt champion, the Western Conference champion. They should all be in the playoffs. They won their conference.
No,
they did what they're supposed to do. You don't take the number 5 SEC.
You get a group of 5 team, whether it's Boise or Army or Navy. I'm hoping that Army Navy, that'd be great, by the way. Boise with my man Ashton Genty. You take one of them, and away you go. And then you take Clemson's going to probably get in. A couple ACC teams going to get in. And the ACC
every Division I conference winner should be in the football playoff.
No, none of the teams got 4 or 5 losses. No.
No. You reward for what
this is the NCAA basketball tournament.
It's not their fault that they're not in the SEC. And somebody said, well, if you put boys in the SEC, they'd be 6th best every year. Come on, man.
So you think, hold on now, you think if the MAC champion, let's say it's Bowling Green, who lost to Old Dominion.
They should be in over the number 4 team in the SEC.
No, sir, you're out your mind. This is not college basketball.
Who plays for championships?
I don't need a 6-6 team in the playoff. You are off your rocker on this one.
No, if they win the championship, their conference championship, they're not 6-6.
Move to the next one. I ain't got time for it. Get enough of this guy. Get him out of here.
Foolishness by the NCAA.
Right. 2 kinds of crazy. Like it or lump it, a pair of top 10 ranked college basketball teams in number 8 Baylor and number 6 Gonzaga square off in Spokane on Monday, November 4th at 11:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2 to usher in the 2024-2025 season. Now, there are other games starting before that, but their tip time is at 11:30 Eastern, Sir Edward.
Of course, I don't like it because it's up late, but then again, I ain't got nowhere to go.
You got nowhere to go. You can sleep in.
I can watch it. But again, and again, the only reason is because it'll be 8:30 out there. So now I will say this. So they can't tip off maybe 6 o'clock out there, which will be 9 o'clock here, which still is late.
You know what they're going to tell you is, hold on, we've got Monday Night Football. We don't want to go head to head.
Yeah, I get that. They don't want to. The Chiefs and the Yucks. I get all that. I don't mind it because I'm crazy about basketball. I don't mind it. Even when I had something to do the next day, I'd still stay up late and watch good matchups. This is a good matchup, Baylor Gonzaga. I'm going to give the edge to Gonzaga. They're at home. I do think they're a little bit better.
Do you have a national champion pick yet? Do you have a national champion pick?
No, you know what? You know what I'm waiting for? It's coming. I think
it's
Blue Ribbon's coming. I ordered it. It's waiting for it so I can to dive into it and divulge who I think.
I don't think UConn three-peats, and I don't like Kansas at the top. I will tell you, last year I liked, before the tournament, Auburn and Bruce Pearl, not our Mustangs Bruce Pearl, but the other Bruce Pearl let me down. Before the year, I liked Michigan State. It was dreadful. I kind of like Gonzaga a lot. This could be Mark Few's year. You know, I was rooting for my guy, Jim Larinaga at Miami. It's really wide open. I'm not on the Duke bandwagon with Cooper Flagg. I think he's really good. I don't think he's quite as great as everybody says he is. I think he's good. I think the young man, by the way, at Rutgers is really, really good too, Mr. Ace Bailey. But I kind of think this might be Mark Few's year at Gonzaga. He's been knocking on that door. That wouldn't shock me. I want to see how they look Monday night. I'm curious to that. So I like this. You don't lump it, of course. Last one, I'm sure you're going to like this, and I lump this. Baseball Hall of Fame broadcaster Bob Costas has announced his retirement from MLB play-by-play broadcasting after 44 years. Now, Costas is still as sharp as it gets. I think this is a reaction to all the criticism. People didn't like his calls during the playoffs. By the way, he's not any worse than Joe Davis, who's wearing Dodger underwear during these games on Fox, by the way. My gosh. He's a good broadcaster. But Joe, can you calm this a little bit with the Dodger calls? My gracious Lord of mercy. We know you're the play-by-play guy for the Dodgers, but take it easy when Freddie Freeman hits the greats. Take it easy, just a little bit. But
I like this. Bob needs to get away from play-by-play.
No, if he wants to get away from the playoffs, it's fine. But he does a good job with the games of the week on MLB Network with Verducci and those guys, DeRosa. Stay, Bob. I don't like this.
Costa was good, really, really good years ago. I think he's an excellent studio host. That's his MO.
That's his cup of tea, no doubt. But listen, people are killing him. I've heard worse. Trust me. I've heard worse.
Yeah. I don't like this. The problem is, Bob Costas is a name. He's Hall of Famer. So when we start saying he's no good, it magnifies more because he's a name. When it's somebody, Joe Blow, and it's like, well, we don't know who he was anyway.
This is caving to all the pressure of you obnoxious Yankee fans is all it is. And by the way, Go ahead.
He was bad. The thing with Bob is, and I kind of like this, but for some reason I wasn't it. He'll start talking about what happened years ago, and he stays with it in the broadcast.
That's storytelling. If it's a 7-1 game, nobody cares about the runner getting picked off at third. And if it's a close game in a playoff game, I give you that. But
the masses won't go for it. Today's fans, you got to understand who's watching.
The masses.
The younger fans, like you always say,
you know what I say about masses?
You got to get out the way. It's a new generation. The new generation. Remember, the new generation history is what happened 3 days ago. So forget 3 years, 30 years, whatever. People talk about Brooklyn Dodgers. People say, Brooklyn Dodgers? Is that a minor league team? Never heard of it. You can't deal with some of these idiot young people that don't understand the history of games. Bob Costas is a legend in what he does. He's more of a studio guy, but it was time to get away from play-by-play. I like it.
What I say about the masses? When you cave to the masses, you become something when you take off the M of masses. That's right. That's right. What happens. And by the way, I'm more disgruntled about High Heat going away with Mad Dog Chris Russo on MLB Network. That's the last show they did yesterday after 11 years, but it'll still be around on First Take and MLB and all the different shows. Coming up next, we've got NFL Picks week number 9 with our man Brucey, Coach Ed Young, and yours truly right here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. You've heard all about the Neptune Bowl, but something we haven't talked about, we're going to get our man Coach Charles Hatcher, the living legend, Norview High School fame, who we saw back at the Virginia Squires reunion in Portsmouth, Ed, in the spring. But Coach Hatcher's got his hands in some other neat projects, including with Dream Makers and a Lefty Drizel documentary that's going to be airing soon. Not sure when and where, but take a look at this trailer that was provided to us from Sports Inside and Out. Here it is on Cova Sports TV.
I've always had a philosophy that I gave to my players way back in the day, was going to put on a desk that the harder I work, the luckier I get.
I was blessed in high school to be recruited by over 200 colleges. Lefty stands out as the most creative in that regard.
Great sports figures in Washington. You had Vince Lombardi, then George Allen, and you had Ted Williams, and then you had Lefty Drizel. I mean, it's pretty unique pedestal for him to be on.
A lot of people think I got fired. Well, they didn't fire me. I got my salary every August the 1st for 9 years. The ACC was great. I mean, it's a great league, and you know, everywhere you played, it was a sellout crowd, and got a lot of press and stuff. And you know, the year Jimmy Valvano won the ACC, we beat him twice during that year.
You have some coaches.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Son is coaching. Your grandkids is coaching.
Yeah.
Is it a chip off the old block?
My son Chuck was my assistant for a long time. He's a basketball coach now, making a living coaching. I got 3 grandsons that are making a living coaching. So I got 4 of my family that are still coaching.
67 years.
Yeah.
You all have been married. What do you attribute to the longevity and the ability to make it work for 67 years?
Well, see, first of all, it's kind of weird the way we got married.
Yeah, you eloped.
Yeah, we eloped. Charlie was the first black basketball player to sign at Davidson. No, yeah, you did. Yeah, that's right. Because he committed. And
I committed to Davidson.
He did sign. I got your letter right here.
The seed that was planted by Lefty Driesell, and from that grown Charlie Scott and Charles Scott, who he is today.
I believe he actually signed with you. We're talking about Moses Malone, but he never went and played there. How disappointing was that for you?
We went to the Final 8 that year without Moses. If we'd have had Moses, I'd have 4 or 5 national championship rings right now. When I got in the Hall of Fame, they said you could invite a couple of people to go up on stage with you. So I invited Mike Krzyzewski because I went to Duke, George Raveley, who was my first assistant at Maryland, and then John Thompson, who was my good friend and my rival when I was at Maryland. Big John was up there. But I would have had Moses if he would have been alive.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
So pretty neat little trailer there with Lefty Driesell, the late, great Granby High Titan, if you will. I say Titan, but Lake Terrace Titan. I should say Granby High legend, we should say. Pioneer he was. But what a great basketball mind he was, and influence across the 757 and beyond all over the sport here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's our final segment for this particular day, the first Saturday of November. Edward, it is now time for the NFL picks in the league where they play for pay as we finish up the show here today, as we will show you some of these right now. And we put them up on the screen, the records, I should say, from last week and for the season. Week 8, it was dreadful for both you and me. We both went 0-3. I'm very, very upset at what transpired in the Chiefs and the Raiders game because I was about to win my -9.5 and under 41.5, and the Raiders score a late meaningless touchdown, and it burns me 27-20 final instead of 27-13. So I took 2 L's right there off the bat. No more of that for me. Bengals -2.5. They had the lead early, but they got thumped by Josh Sweat, Jalen Hurts, and the Eagles 37-17. You had Packers -3.5. They won by 3, 30-27. Shake your head. Baltimore -8.5. That was worse, 29-24. Brownies, freshly made with Jameis Winston. Mr. Crablegs. You got brownies, though. And Houston -4.5. Oh, another bad beat. They won 23-20 before losing to the Jets, Jets on Thursday night. Because, hey, when you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. Jets have burned me enough this year, to say the least. Bruce was 2-1, winning on the Chargers -7, Washington +3, the outright crazy Hail Mary Jane Daniels win at the gun against Dino Franzo's Bears, and Dallas plus 4.5 for Bruce did not come through. They came roaring back. Didn't have enough, though. Niners won it 30-24. So here are the updated results, numbers, if you will, for the season. It's not pretty, Ed. We're all struggling, but Bruce is in the lead by a game and a loss over you, 2 and a loss over me. He's got 1 more win than you, 3 more than me, and I've got the push. Wish that push was a win. So it means Bruce gets to go first this week, and here are his picks, ladies and gents. The Virginia Beach Mustangs organizer, director, man in charge, has the Colts plus 5.5. Sunday Night Football for them against the Vikes. Washington laying 3.5 at the Giants. This is a tricky trap spot, I do think. I'm not sure I would be online with that one. And Jacksonville plus the 7.5, which I like a little bit. A lot of points against the Eagles, who can be at times porous defensively. They have some young defensive backs who have stepped up in a big way for them. So those are Bruce's 3 selections. Since we both... Yeah, go ahead.
His Washington pick is the only one I might have taken. I think Washington beats the Giants. But you would think Vegas must know something, because I would think it would be 7 or 7.5. It's not.
Okay.
It's 3.5. So that means the Giants are going to be a pain in the butt to the Commanders in that game. But I still think Washington wins it, and I do think they would win by at least a touchdown. So I'm not touching any of those. I do get to go first.
Well, okay. Well, real quickly, I want to get up there. We were having some streaming issues, technical issues, I should say, on Twitter or X, but we have restored our stream there. So if you missed any of portions of the show, including that Lefty Drizel trailer with Sports Inside and Out, go back and watch our full episode on Cova Sports TV on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, and you share it all over the place like Ed does with all of his friends and family and loved ones and ones that hate him, too. He shares it with them. But go ahead.
Everybody. I said it. I'm sending it overseas to people. Everybody.
Well, do that. What's your first pick? I have literally written down 6 games. If you steal one of these 6, I'll be upset.
I don't think I'm going to touch any of yours. I really don't feel I will. I'm looking at. I had it here. Where to go? Give me. I'm going with your Cardinals.
Oh,
minus the 1.5 over the Bears.
You're going Cardinals minus 1.5.
Now, I don't think I've ever won picking your Cardinals, but I got a feeling I'm going to get my first one.
I hope we win by 1 point just to aggravate you. And by the way, I have a gentleman's agreement lunch. Loser's got to buy lunch with my man Dino from Max Media on the line here. He a Bears fan, me a Cardinals fan. So I like Dino, but I'd rather he buy lunch than me buy him lunch, because that's just the cheap SOB I am, right?
Yes, there's no question about that.
All right, so your first pick is Arizona minus 1.5, which is good, because I did not have that. It would be bad if we lose outright to them. I want to stay in first in the NFC West. All right, my first pick. Ed, tell me what happened earlier this year when the Bills played the Dolphins.
My mind draws a blank. Didn't the Bills win?
They did, 31-10, and Tua Tagovailoa got concussed and injured again.
And they're going to win again.
And look at what happened last year when they played. 48-20 at home over the Dolphins. 21-14 in Miami in January. How about the year before that, 2022? Well, they lost the 21-19 game in early September, but they responded with a 32-29 win at home. The year before that, what happened to the Bills? 35-0 in Miami, 26-11. Moral of the story is they dominate this series, and it's not enough points. Bills laying just 5.5. I think Miami's dreadful. I do like Tua a lot, but Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike McDaniel's offense, the gimmicks, they've been figured out enough. Bills lay to 5.5. They get the job done. I'm taking the home favorite. I'm going to take a road dog, and I will be saying naughty words about you, Jim Harbaugh, if you let me down. Give me the Superchargers, the Lightning Bolts, laying the 1.5 at Cleveland. I like them in this spot. Main reason being I don't see Jameis Winston winning 2 in a row at home over the Ravens and the Chargers, and they shouldn't win by just 1. It might be a field goal at the end, but I'll take the 1.5. So give it to me. Superchargers laying 1.5. Bills minus 5.5. Will I make it an AFC sweep? But we'll find out because Ed's up in the next 2, and he could swipe one from me if I do want to go with an AFC team. What do you got for your last two?
Okay, let me
do what?
Let me see here.
You're stalling. It means he's not ready, folks.
I'm going Rams -1.5.
Are you?
Over Seattle.
Okay.
Dangerous because it's at Seattle, but that's who I'm going with.
Okay.
And
by the way, real quickly, there's an over-under that I love. Are you going over-unders or are you going straight points?
I've been looking at the over-unders, but nothing's grabbing me.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of points in the Dirty South. Look at that game in the Dirty South. There's going to be a lot of points in that one.
The Saints and Panthers.
No, not that one. I'm talking about the Falcons and the Boys.
Total's
high. Total's high, 51.5.
Both those teams can't stop nobody.
That's the point.
That's that. Yeah,
Kirk Cousins might throw for 500 yards on that Dallas defense.
Yeah, I looked at that one. I don't know why, but I don't want to go to that one. Give me. Well, the over and under, that's 51. So you think they're going to 51.5?
Well, I do, but I don't know if I'm going to take it. I'm tempted, but I don't think I'm going to take it. 51.
I'm going to let it out there for you.
I'm going to take it.
You know what? I'm going to jump into cold waters and take it over and under.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it, and it involves my hapless Raiders. I think the Raiders and Bengals will be both so screwed up, they'll find the end zone a lot. It says 45.5. I think it becomes 46. I'm going over.
All right. I got burned on an over-under last week with the Raiders and the Chiefs. So you're going over 45.5, Raiders and Bengals. How great would it be, folks, if the Bengals won that game 31-14? Oh, it'd just be lovely. Now, you left me a lot of games I like. The over in that Cowboys, Falcons, which I will pass on. And there's three others I like. I like the Ravens -9.5. I like the Titans -3.5. And I like the Panthers +7.5. I just can't bring myself to picking the Panthers, though I think they can cover against the Saints team that has been struggling with 6 straight losses. 9.5 is a big number against the Broncos. And I could see Baltimore with their big lead screw up in the fourth quarter. They could screw me in the end, and it be a backdoor cover for Denver that loses like 31-22 or something crazy. So now I could get a bad beat here. It's 3.5. The Titans are awful. But can Gerard Mayo, the Kickotan alum, lead New England to 2 straight wins? I think not. And I am going to bank on the Titans winning by more than a field goal. I could get burned here. Give me Tennessee laying the 3.5. I'm going with an AFC sweep, ladies and gents. Bills -5.5. Titans -3.5. Chargers -1.5. Edwards got the Cardinals -1.5. The Rams -1.5. He loves the NFC West this week, folks. And his last selection over 45.5 in the Raiders-Bengals game. And yours truly tries to get in front of Ed. But right now, the guy leading the way, leading the show, is Bruce Pearl of the Virginia Beach Mustangs, who you can watch all the time on Cova Sports TV. His team's in action. And Bruce's selections, again, to recap it, Colts +5.5, Jags +7.5, and the Washington Commanders, the football team, once known as the Redskins, now known as the Commies, -3.5 against the G-Men on the road. Those are the picks for week number 9 in the league where they play for pay. Out of time, Ed. We'll see you all at Darling Stadium. Well, I will. It's going to be a good one, Phoebus and Warwick, and we'll do it again next week right here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Have a great weekend. A Yankee-free weekend.
Baseball free.